I love it.
Hello, Mid Michigan, and welcome to a bit of a different broadcast here on the Mid Michigan Sports Network. Chris Bachman with you, Bubba McLean with you here on the Mid Michigan Sports Network. We are live at the Oiler 36. We got, 27 teams out here, Bubba?
27 teams, technically 28 because we have a single that came up from Detroit. 137 golfers out here today at the Polecat, and I think we have 126 tomorrow at Bucks Run. So beautiful weather, beautiful turnout. A lot of local teams here today, but then a lot of teams from around the state. So couldn't be happier with the turnout so far. And like I said, Mother Nature has definitely brought her best to the table this morning, or to the golf course this morning.
Yeah, and the hope to play on the pipe dream was to maybe be able to, do some stuff out on the course, as I accidentally hit the Zayd Batchelder song there. Do some stuff out on the course, but the connection not the greatest. So, but if we put you and me on video, that's going to be good for us to be lower quality. I'll make that joke. But if you're looking, you can see we kind of got a view of the 18th green here. And 18th green, we'll see some kids coming up. But we're here today to talk about some of the top golfers in the area, the Oiler 36, maybe some other spring sports. I know if McIntyre comes up here, he's going to want to talk some girls soccer, some boys volleyball at Mount Pleasant High School.
Yeah.
The big news, you guys playing down at the University of Michigan, the changes to the football playoff format. Yep. There's actually a lot to talk about right now, and actually a cool statistic. There's 12 local high school baseball, softball teams that I cover in the area with, Ithaca to Clare. Not a one of them have a losing record.
It's pretty impressive.
It's pretty darn impressive. So we'll be talking a whole lot of baseball, softball, too. We'll see if we can get some Dan Pohl action here as well. I know he's out with Eric Rodriguez, Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe, doing some cool stuff, taking some photos for their big golf outing coming up later this summer. But I'll maybe talk a little bit about Dan's career as well, because for people who don't know, we got one of the best golfers of all time right here in Mount Pleasant. You can't sneeze at it. 2 Ryder Cup teams. I don't think I need to say much more than that.
Well, that and a runner-up in the Masters in 1982, and obviously if he didn't have some of the injuries that he had with his wrists and back and such, his career might have been a little bit different. But for what it was pretty spectacular, to say the least. And to have him back here in Mount Pleasant, it's a new management company here at Polecat, but he's still the director of golf and doing some great things. He's got a great course set up for us, whether it was this past Wednesday for our Saginaw Valley League Jamboree that we had, or today. It's just an unbelievable venue for these young men to be able to play high school golf and make some new memories and some new relationships, so on and so forth. So, yeah, Dan obviously kind of epitomizes class and elegance, and you're seeing that out here today on the golf course.
I don't know if Dan does. We'll say the Polecat does. I'll make that. I'll make that joke. But people don't know about how this course was built. I did a podcast with him way back when on Spock Sports Show, talking about him out here working with the EPA, because there's wetlands out here and stuff like that. And so if we can get him to take a deep dive into that, we will as well. But also, again, we're just kind of on shooting the breeze. Bubba might have to run out for a bit to take care of something. But hopefully he's going to stay here with me. But also maybe talk a little Pistons playoffs. You watched that game last night?
I did. It was exciting. We had a couple of friends of mine were at the game, and it was just exciting. I was trying to work on some of the last-minute things for this, being able to watch the game with a couple of friends. And it was just, it's good to have Detroit Piston basketball back at the kind of towards the top of the mountain, so to speak. And the last time the University of Michigan won the national championship in 1989, Detroit won the NBA championship. So we'll see if history can repeat itself this year, obviously, with Michigan winning the national championship a month ago, and now Detroit up 2-0 on Cleveland. But you gotta finish. You gotta get to game 3 first before you get to game 1 of the NBA Finals type of thing. So one game at a time.
Yeah, very, very true. And I just think it's, impressive. Cade Cunningham's out there with, kind of the quarterback jacket on and still just making it happen. Just it's this type of stuff I've never really even seen. A little bit too young to really remember when Isaiah Thomas took the Karl Malone elbow and got all the stitches and came back into the game. But it's that type of lore, I think, is a collapsed lung. I don't think anybody would have had any problem with Cade Cunningham sitting out the rest of the year and coming back next year, but not the fact that he's even back and playing, but he's playing the way he is at an MVP-type level. It's pretty darn special to watch. And everybody seems to think, whoever wins the West is going to be able to win the NBA championship, but tell you what, I think if OKC and San Antonio or Minnesota play each other, because I'm not giving the Lakers much of a chance after they went down 0-2 last night. But if those two are able to battle it out, I think they're going to beat each other up an awful lot, too.
Well, I agree with that. But then look at Game 6 with Detroit and Orlando. Detroit was down 24 on the road, and they somehow miraculously came back to win that game. And then they were able to win Game 7, of course, on home court. But, yeah, I mean, the West teams are just going to kind of beat each other up. And maybe Detroit can have a short series this time after having a 7-game series. Who knows? with sports and athletics, you just never know from game to game. You never know how the ball's going to bounce. You never know how kind the irons are going to be. You never know how nerves are going to be. It's just, oh, there's a nice golf ball that just went overhead here. But you just never know what's going to happen in sports. So that's the beautiful thing about it. From game to game, things can change, roles can change, identities can change. That's the great thing about sports in general, especially out here today with high school golf. And golf is very unique because you're not playing against a person that you're playing against. You're actually playing against this course. You know, the whole, there's 18 holes out here, and every single one of them is going to be different. So that's you got to love high school sports.
Yeah, and if I put you on the spot here and say, drop some of the names of some of the top golfers in the area, who's the guy you'd want to watch out here today, kind of thing?
I was watching Bryce Weifrich earlier from Clare. He put one to about a foot and a half on 17 on his first tee shot for birdie today. He's extremely good golfer. Outside of that, I don't know a whole lot other than my team. To be honest with you, I've kind of had tunnel vision so far this year with my team.
Oh, who's your top guys this year?
So Nolan Moore, who's a senior, Max Berge, who unfortunately is not here today. His sister got her doctorate from the University of South Carolina, so he felt compelled to be down there.
A little clap there for that.
Pretty impressive. So, but those are my two senior golfers, and I've got another senior out here today, Michael Sisson, that's playing, and I've got a really good junior class and some really good talent coming up. So I'm excited about the future. We haven't played to our capabilities yet this year, but I feel like there's an opportunity for us to kind of right the ship these next couple of weeks. We've only got 3 weeks left in the season, so it's a short season, but playing venues like this, playing events like this will help us, I think, kind of maybe springboard us to something better.
Talk about that golf season a little bit for somebody who's, mostly tuning in to baseball, softball, basketball, football, and volleyball here. Golf, talk a little bit about how that season works.
So we start in March, and then you get up to 16 events, and unfortunately this year we had 3 canceled right away because of the weather that we've had early on. So you get 16 events, and then you have 18 teams in a regional later on in May, and you have Valley Jamborees, you have open invitationals, you can do 9-hole events, 18-hole events. We keep it to 18-hole events because I like to just get our kids in kind of a rhythm, so to speak, because that's what's going to happen in our Saginaw Valley League Jamborees and the regional. They're all 18-hole events, so I just like to keep our frame of mind kind of in that mindset, if you will, to make sure that they get used to that.
And golf is the sport, I would say, other than boys volleyball this year for the Mount Pleasant boys, it's the newest sport for a lot of competitors out here. A lot of times you've got guys coming out for golf that have literally never been on a golf course before, but that's one of the really cool things about high school golf is you get a chance to experience that because Spiro golf is one of the more expensive sports. You're not taking your 10, 12-year-old out unless he's getting serious about it, having him pay to go. But again, you get that experience. You get to come out here, and I'm now 40, and I'm just starting to take up golf, and it feels like everybody if your kids are out there listening, again, they're in school. Hopefully they're listening to Marciando's class, maybe nowhere else. But once you get older, you're going to golf. It's going to be a business outing. It's going to be a charity donation that you're going to donate to, and you're going to have a golf team. It's just the way life is, especially here in Michigan when we only have the golfing for the summer. It's just kind of a special thing.
Well, yeah, golf and tennis are the 2 sports you can play, and pickleball now is becoming a huge sport here in North America. But yeah, those are the 2 sports you can play your entire life. I mean, you can start young, you can take some time away if you have a family. It's tough to get out there, but then as you get older in life, this is the one game that you can find a course, come out, play, have a good time. Like you said, the business acumen or the aspect of it with corporate outings and then just 4-person scrambles and all that. So it's a lot of fun. That's the game of golf gives you a lot back as well. You put a lot into it, you get a lot out of it.
Yep, things might get a little scary now as we bring Dan Pohl on to join us here. Chris Spott and Bub McLean and Dan Pohl here at the Oiler 36th Polecat game. We just kind of got the camera on the 18th green as we don't want to break the camera putting our ugly mugs on there. But, Dan, how things going so far this morning? You been out on the course much?
I was just heading out to 17. I wanted to see how they were playing that because, as I mentioned to Jason earlier, we wanted to kind of change the angle, and so I put the pin in a very difficult position but moved the tee box up so it creates a little different angle.
He said Bryce Weifrich hit it about 2 feet from the hole.
I saw a couple of good shots, but it's one of those shots that you just have to commit to. There's room left, but it calls for a good wedge shot. But, everything's good. What a beautiful day. I mean, this morning we were all kind of sitting here going, okay, frost is on the ground. We're out here moving carts at 6:15, 6:30 in the morning, and we were kind of wondering whether or not this was going to show up. But, if you get days like this, it makes it all worthwhile.
Yep, and now I know you got some new management here. You want to shoot the breeze about that, or you headed out to 17? Because we're going to be on for a bit. We can come back with you here in a minute, or you
I'm
want
not against shooting the breeze with you guys, but I'm sure you two have a lot of crap to say to people. That doesn't mean anything. I heard the earlier portion, so we know everything. No, I think I've been more than happy to sit here and.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about the new management squad that you guys got out here, what they're bringing to the table for you.
Well, Troon management is well recognized throughout the country. There's no doubt. They had to change some things as far as what we were doing. Expense wise, what they really bring is the ability to buy in bulk, to have a big group of people that you can. You don't think about it as far as cost when you talk about, pesticides, all the fertilizers, all the things that, they can get for a lot cheaper price.
Same with the Walmart, the Meijer, being able to have things a little bit. We love our Rick's. I want to go to Rick's for my Boar's Head and for all the great stuff, but sometimes when you're buying a box of cereal, you want, and so you guys are able to take advantage of that.
And it's too early to see where everything's going to go, but we got lucky. We got Mike Longyear, the new GM, came from not only a higher-end private club, but he's worked every facet of golf. I mean, public facility, good player, understands every market, understands all the intricacies. He just was thrown into a tough little arena. We've had a terrible April as far as weather, conducive to these guys having to go out and try to play events. So, you look at it and you say, okay, where can we improve golf course-wise? Where can we cut back, on certain expenses? And then it becomes just accountability across the board. And I think that's what an upper-level management company brings to you, is it's got background in all of these things. If we need something in a certain area, then, we're not just us trying to chase it down. We have somebody that's recognized in the business. They, for folks that don't know, they manage or own over 900 golf courses. That's a lot, in a wide swath of different varieties of courses. And obviously a private club versus, something like us, totally different, aspects.
But they're managing both of them. They know how to roll with both of them.
Yeah, they've got background. And then again, from the standpoint of ownership, you have somebody that's accountable for all phases of it. And that's something that in the past, we probably haven't had as good as we have now. So time will tell. It's early in the equation. Mike came around in September and watched certain things, certain aspects of the business that he saw was probably underdoing, So, yeah, I look at it now and I think, okay, we're running the golf course the way we need to run it. We got a great facility. Hopefully when these kids get done, they appreciate the fact that in kind of a bad year so far of spring, this golf course is about as good a shape as I've seen it coming out, in April and May. So that's a big plus. But, I'm looking forward to see at the end of the year when we can actually look at all of the positives and see how it really affected the total year.
Yep, and now another thing I wanted you to dive into a little bit, except for people who don't know about your career. You and I did a long podcast, a few years ago, talking about your career. And again, I don't think it's still on the WMMI SoundCloud page. I wish it was, because it was one of my favorite interviews here, and you talk about playing with the guys in the 80s, and it was like, if you won, you were buying the drinks that night, because that's the way it was back then. And you guys were getting rides together, going to tournaments, because you guys weren't winning millions and millions with every tournament. I'm sure you wish you were golfing in the 2000s instead of the 80s. But
well, good golfers are good golfers. I think anybody who is, the qualities of players we had that are at the top would be at the top again, most likely. But, you just look at it across the board. The change in equipment, the change in all aspects of that, even to the point, I think that what gets kind of lost in the equation, and Bubba knows this a little bit, is the tapping down of spike marks. Even just the little things. I mean, we never were able to do that. You have a spike mark in front of you that could kick the ball either direction, and now they're just tapping it down and rolling it into the hole, and they're going 55 for 55 from 6 feet. You're going to miss some of those, when you've got tough conditions in front of you. So those little things, dropping a golf ball, all those things, they've made it in my estimation, a little bit easier, but it is what it is. But when you just tie in the fact of the money, and Nicklaus said this the other day, he mentioned that Cam Young had won more in 2 tournaments than he had his entire career. Nicklaus. So, he wins what it was,
$7 million
or
almost $7 million
and then
in
$4 million or whatever at the next, and you just look at it and you go, man, what if you're a good player now, you have no reason not to be living on. You'd be living on the 9th hole polecat. What the heck?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
And you were on 2 Ryder Cup teams.
Just one.
Oh, just one. Well, I'm telling people too. I'll keep telling them too.
Yeah,
But just talk about that experience, man. How cool was that?
Probably one of the most unique and gratifying weeks, along with one of the most stressful that you'll play. And that was before in '87. We were just starting to really take the grasp of the Ryder Cup. They had gotten real strong. They had Langer, Lyle, Woosnam, Faldo, Ballesteros, Olazabal all coming into the prime of their careers. And then you add just a couple other players on there, and you had an awful strong team. But from the standpoint of an American playing, especially playing at Muirfield Village with Jack as your captain, and close to home basically, so I had a lot of family that was able to come down and watch. The fun part of the Ryder Cup, which a lot of people don't get to see, is the camaraderie amongst the players. Laying on the ground, I got pictures of myself and Andy Bean laying on the ground signing all the dinner menus and stuff, and because there's other things that go on there that a lot of people don't understand. The PGA of America runs the Ryder Cup, and they have dinner parties for the players, and everybody gets these autographed menus and everything else. So you're signing probably 150 pieces of things. And so Andy and I would lay down, and here we are signing these deals, and now Andy's gone. He just passed away a year and a half ago or so. But those are the fun things. Payne Stewart was on that Ryder Cup team, and then you just look at all the past guys. If you go into our pro shop here, I got a nice big picture of all of the guys that were on that. And it's funny because we ask our staff now to tell us who these players are.
Not many of them
The most out of that 12-man team plus Nicklaus that anybody's gotten is 4, name-wise.
Wow.
And you had Larry, you had Strange, Crenshaw, Kite.
You got me one, because like I said, I was born in '85. You know what I mean? So you got me wondering. Like I said, I remember watching those guys. Like I said, that my dad would always have the Masters on Sunday. I remember watching those guys growing up, but I don't know if I'd be able to pick them out of a lineup either. Say maybe you guys can put me on the spot a little bit later. And I've asked you this before, but I always want to ask this because you've been all over the world golfing. Number 1 golf course you've ever been to?
That's a tough one. I mean,
besides the polecat, obviously.
Yeah, but there's so many different varieties of courses. I always break the country into little sections. It's very difficult to beat Pebble Beach as far as just something that somebody can play. Now, Cypress Point has 3 or 4 holes that are just absolutely gorgeous. If you can play it, you want to do it.
And where's Cypress Point at?
It's right on the Monterey Peninsula.
All right, yep.
It's just down the road. You got Spyglass, but Spyglass is just tough. Great. It's not really a visually great golf course, but Pebble Beach would be the one. But then you look at the central part of the states. Chicago's got some great golf courses, Bobolink and Chicago Golf Club and all these other ones. And then now with all the ones like in Nebraska, you got some of those sand hill type of deals. So it's really tough to do. I've played Seminole. But I will tell you this, one of the most unique golf courses I ever played. In '86, we went over to Australia, to Melbourne, and we played at Royal Melbourne in what was then the bicentennial event of Australia. So they had 5-man teams go over there, and I was on that team. And Royal Melbourne is probably the most, you look down there, there's sand dunes, and it's way before, some of the new courses like over across in Wisconsin.
Whistling Straits.
And those were kind of man-made. These are laid in those dunes and, fast greens. And
intimidating.
So I look at stuff like that and I go, wow, that's fantastic. The tour, you could go through and say there's a ton of really good golf courses. Great ones, Muirfield, fantastic golf course, beautiful visuals, all that. I always enjoyed the tough ones. I always enjoyed, Firestone, maybe the best set of par 4s in the country when you talk about there, par 70, great par fours across the board, and then you could take other places, Riviera and places that have that uniqueness to them. So really, it's all about it can be visual, it can be playability wise. I always like the small greens. I like the concept of if you hit a good iron shot, you had a chance. And probably if I had something to do over again at Polecat, but because it was a big course, I needed to make bigger greens. But I like holes like number 6 here with the small green and some of the ones that you really have to, if you hit a good shot, you got a good chance at birdie. But it's a very tough for most tour players. Probably if you said 100 tour players, where would you play your last round of golf at? Probably at least 75% or more would say Pebble Beach.
Yeah. All right. And is that one that's more playable for people too, or is that one super, super difficult, would you think?
Just depends on the wind.
Depends on the weather. Yeah, because you're right there on the water.
Yeah. I've played it when it's dormant and you feel real good and you go out and you shoot 67 or 68 or whatever, and the next day the wind comes up and you're busting, everything out to try to. I've played number 10 where I've hit 3-wood into it and I've hit wedge. And just wind comes off the ocean, and it's just that. So, most any golf course, the factor is usually the wind when it, changes direction. One of the things that, unfortunately, with, even the Mount Pleasant High School team, they don't get to play here enough to see the variations of playing conditions. And the wind is such a factor here because you got these tree-lined holes, even like 18, you can see the wind might be coming out of the west, but it could hit this tree line and kind of bend it back and come down at you down the 18th fairway. You can get over there on 3 where you got the big pines and stuff down the right side, but you're coming through this funnel and that wind will hit and pop right back into you. And so distance control, knowing what that, what the opportunities are here, I think guys need to know when they can attack, what hole locations they can attack, things like that. And that's true when I played golf on the tour, I always felt like there was probably 6 to 8 true birdie holes. And I had to take advantage of those. And if I could, then 66, 67 was always going to be in the mix. If you didn't, then you had to fight yourself around and try to shoot somewhere around par. Yep. And when you understood that concept, then, for us, par, even though it's 72, these kids that are playing here today, for most of them, par is what?
Excellent.
980.
Or if they handicap. Yeah.
So if they think they're going out, and they bogey the first hole, and they think, they're 1 over. No, they're actually still, 7 under. And so you don't put that added mentality and stress on you. So I keep an eye on some of these kids. You watch them, and they're just, some are lackadaisical, some don't pay attention to the way this 18th hole can be tricky as heck. If you're not watching the ball come in there, you'll think that this ball is going one way and it'll turn back the other. And so, to me, a lot of the stuff that goes on has to be, you watch the whole complex.
You have to internalize a lot too on this golf course. You really have. There's a lot of thinking involved here. That's the one thing I love about having the opportunity to be out here with our kids, is that there's so many it's so many different shots. You don't necessarily have to hit a 56-degree wedge with a good lie. You can bump and run an 8-iron into it. One of the things that Dan has taught me and our kids is that you have to think about it from a standpoint of, okay, where's that pin at right now? You're going to try to fly it in there. You're going to try to bump and run it in there. I mean, you got to use the contour of the greens as much as possible, and there's a lot of thinking involved.
Yeah. And that's a good point. The thing that I look at, which I always tell people, I said, you've come out here and you're out in the open off number 1, then you come in the woods and you're in there for 3 or 4 holes, then you come back out, and then you're in, and then you're out. And so you really got to, if you're just understanding or not recognizing the conditions within your specific hole, it's changing like every 5 minutes out here. And, guys make mistakes based upon not being able to maybe judge that as much as they will. And they're young, and that's the whole idea about playing a lot, is that you have to learn that.
Yeah, but I say, and again, when I'm going golf, I'm going out with a couple buddies of mine. I say, I tend to lose focus. I tell my one buddy, I says, I can't hit my irons. He says, well, it's because you're lifting up your back leg and you're doing, and he's trying to coach me on it. And it's one of those that you got to take every shot so serious in golf if you want to post a good score, because
I disagree with you.
All right. School me here.
With you. It's not about taking it seriously. It's about understanding how to keep yourself as relaxed as you can. Most people, if they have a few drinks, that relax them and their swing opens up and they usually play better. When they do focus too hard and get ahead of themselves with being perfect, have to swing it perfect, that's when they struggle. And so when you put a number to it, see, I never play to a number. I play to one swing at a time. If somebody says, how did you play? I said, well, you know what? I hit 4 really good iron shots on 6, 12, 11, and I know that. I left a couple out on the outside and missed the shot. So I don't go out with the idea of a number. I go out with the idea of making as many good swings as I can and give myself as many opportunities. But most people, how did you play? Well, I shot this. Well, no, that's not what I ask. How did you play? Did you play smart? Did you use your course match? Because you can play really good and shoot high. You can play mediocre and shoot pretty good. But until you understand that, you're basing all of your round on what you shot score-wise. I want to do, if I play around here and I have, let's say, 14 iron shots that are important. If I know that 10 of those I was perfect distance and I hit the shot that I wanted to, that's a successful round to me. Because it tells me that my swing mechanics are matching what my body is feeling and what my hands are moving through and all those. So I judge it, again, a little bit differently. And if you can just say, if you went around here and all of a sudden you're short on, this hole, you're long on that hole, and your distance control is all off, that's not, I don't care what you shot. You didn't play good,
Yep.
And so some people can get in and say, well, I shot this. You say, well, how did you play? Well, I don't know. And you go, well, how do you not know?
You make me feel a little bit better about, I'll say, my early golf games. So I'm just kind of getting into the swing of things, I will say. But every time I come out, I always do remember, man, there was 5 or 6 shots that I really laced up and hit well. And again, it's keeping that mindset, and then turns around, I got 10 of them as opposed to 5.
If you can use other things that you've ever done, how many great free throw shooters in practice miss on it when they need it? When there's stress on there. You're freed up. You got to find a way to free it up. And when you can free it up and just be comfortable that you are just swinging the golf club and the ball's just getting in the way, it does make it a little bit easier. Now, are you always going to hit great shots? No. But at least it doesn't put the thing on, I got to be here, I got to be there. I watch guys swing, no, the club goes back, the club goes forward. I mean, it's movement. And if you can just let that happen, it's a whole saying, you got to let it happen. You can't try to make it happen. And when you can get that, especially as somebody that's starting, but it shows. How many players that you watch in high school shoot 37-44? Okay, so they played a good front nine and then they go. But how many of them shoot 48-38?
Right.
Because now the pressure's off.
All right.
And so they've already, and then they start just kind of freelancing. And, you go from there. But it's the person that can, now you watch these guys that shoot 32-32 or 35-31, 31, that's when you're in control of all aspects of your game.
And now, my favorite golf course, like I said, I haven't been around to that many places. I've been to Bucks Run a couple times, but I think here is my favorite course. And I think part of it's because, Dan, I talked to you about building it. It feels like it's my home course because I know you, and I love how much change there is in the course. As you talked about, you come out here and you think that this course is going to be in the complete wide open when you come pulling up the driveway, but then as soon as you hook around one, you said you're back there pretty much in the woods.
Yeah, we never try to compare. I've never tried to compare this golf course to any place. This was built with the idea of how can I fit each hole in here the best I can. The same way that Jerry Matthews would have done Bucks Run. And Bucks is a fantastic golf course. It's different. It's got a lot of quick dog legs, a lot of things. That's the way he decided to use the terrain and the woods and everything else. That's fine. Got some beautiful par threes. I think the 8th hole and 9th hole and them around that little, that water corridor is fantastic. So when you look at it, most people compare it. If I'm standing with somebody and they say, we played both, and they say, well, which one did you like? And they say, well, I enjoyed Bucks. And I say, well, why? Just tell me. I shot better. Okay, is that your reasoning for, or your gauge on what you like the course? I said, let's look at shot value. Let's look at different shots that you have to play. And like I said, I don't play Bucks that much, but I really enjoy it when I do because it gives me a different visual on how to what I'm supposed to see. And it's a challenge for anybody to move off of this and then go over there and play those quick dog legs and some of the, and not make mistakes.
Yeah. And now I think Bubba's probably kind of in between you and I as far as golf travels goes. What your favorite course you've ever been on, Bubba?
Oh, that's a tough one. There's one up in Pemberton, British Columbia, which is about an hour north of Whistler, that I called Big Sky, that I've had the pleasure of playing twice now. And it's just, to me, it doesn't necessarily gauge my golf game based on how well I played. I played it okay the first time. I played it better the second time, but I just enjoy the aesthetics around it. And to Dan's point, it's just there's some challenges there that you have to challenge yourself internally. Like, okay, don't get too high, don't get too low. If you push a shot out of bounds, well, you gotta kind of, what's the best opportunity for you to put yourself back in position to score, or just have a good score on that hole and move on to the next hole. But that, to me, it's just, you're up in the mountains. There's like clouds coming in. There's fresh water everywhere. It's just it was a really cool experience for me.
Yeah, and it's crazy to try to even figure that out.
Yeah.
Castle Pines and outside of Denver. We played the old Stableford system there, but then you look in Montana and you look at all these places that, how do you compare it? St. Louis that did with Payne Stewart and those guys that did what's the Bass Pro Shops.
That was the one, yeah, they used to.
It has the big waterfalls and stuff. Is it a great golf course? No, but it'll visually just go, wow. So if you want visual noise, I've played a lot of interesting courses where I go, you know what? Wow, that is absolutely gorgeous. But if you took away, and I use this, and I listen, this is no thing on Arcadia Bluffs, but to me, if the Lake Michigan wasn't there, would it be a great golf course? I don't know. It would be, it's got a couple of good holes there, but, so you can all of a sudden say that one big feature to the west has created a whole different animal. And so I just like the fact that if you took and compared, just put a canopy over every golf course and you couldn't see the mountains, you couldn't see the ocean, you couldn't see whatever, and then say, okay, because I would match personally a place like Colonial in Fort Worth, no scenic beauty at all. But, man,
still a wonderful course.
When you play within, that's why they host U.S. Opens and the Colonial Invitational and stuff. And small greens, and you just go around and you go, it's on about 120 acres, and you got to hit shots. So everybody has their personal, likes and dislikes. And, like I said, there'll be some kids that'll walk off here today and say, man, I had fun. And then you'll see some growling, and I never want to come back here ever again.
Well, and that's why I think it's such a good opportunity to play here in Bucks Run tomorrow. It's just two totally different visual layouts, like you said. And then another course I really like in the area is Eagle Glen up in Farwell. I think that's another. I mean, there's not a lot of great beauty around there, but at the same time, it's a really well-designed golf course that challenges you.
And then you look at the designer and Jerry Matthews doing both of them, and he had to play off of two different pieces of property. And so, the link style that Eagle Glen is, when I say links, it really isn't a link style. It just has mounds with grass. Links is sandy soil, and it's, you go the ball on the ground. There you still have to play a lot of those shots through the air. So it's just a links look. But, yeah, I mean, I agree with you probably within our deal. But, if you went out and you tried to compare Riverwood to anybody, if Riverwood was in the type of shape that it could be in, it's got some really good holes on it.
Challenging course. Hard to score.
And very difficult because you're not getting the perfect lies and things like that. But, like I said, for once you get a chance to play some of the places you can go over. We had one of our staff go over and played over in Hawaii at one of the lava ones, and I couldn't tell you which one it was. He came back and he was just like in awe. Well, you can't duplicate that. We're in the central part of Michigan.
Let me ask, going outside of central Michigan, if I wanted to make a day trip this summer to go golfing, and keep in mind that I'm a beginner, I don't want a super challenging course, where's a place you guys would recommend me and my buddy Gursky maybe go for a day trip to go golfing?
Out of Michigan?
No, in Michigan.
In Michigan?
Outside the central Michigan area? Yeah. I've really taken a liking to Manitou Passage and Bailey Farms.
Where are those
Bailey
at?
Farms is up in Sutton's Bay, and Manitou Passage is over more towards like Glen Arbor area, but I like those two. That's just me.
So is Bailey Farms right off Otto Road there?
It's just I don't know the name of the road, but it's right outside Sutton's Bay.
So talk about not golfing enough. I would have.
I know how to get there.
When I was about 18 to 24, my parents would have lived about 1.5 miles from the place. And like I said, I never went, never did anything. And so I'll have some people to stay with, I guess. If I go up there, I'll make that joke.
I like the Emerald in St. John's. I think that's a nice course as well. There's a lot of places around here that really within a 2-hour drive you can get to.
Just kind of, in my mind, it just kind of depends on what you're looking for. I mean, I hear good things about Manistee National and places up that way, but to the east and north, you might have
Red Hawk.
Red Hawk. I've heard really good things about it, and I've heard what's the ones up at the Gales and them
Gales,
up there,
yeah,
and
by Oscoda.
Oscoda.
Yep.
So you do have some variety. I've never believed that if it's not tied to a resort. There's the public golf courses are very, not high end. I would say they're more into playability deal. You got Lansing, you're going to Timber Ridge, and some of those that you could play down there. But you keep going down south of there. I think Battle Creek has a lot of good ones. Gull Lakeview has some 4 or 5 courses down there at Gull Lakeview that give you a lot of different varieties. Obviously, Grand Rapids. I would say that if I was going anywhere that I hadn't played, I would go to Pilgrim's Run.
That's a great course.
You've been there?
Yeah. Mick Cochran works there.
Yeah.
Mick Cochran
and I
works
think
there.
it's just it was a guy that just kind of designed it himself, built it through this. It reminds me a lot of this. It's got a lot of change of directions and through the woods and out, but other than I don't know where the 18th hole fits in, but that's a little bit different.
Carry.
But everything else to me just if I had that's in between Grand Rapids and just
Big Rapids.
Too far
really,
from Big Rapids.
Yeah, it's really right in the middle.
All right.
That's where I'd go.
So they're going to send it to a little commercial break on the Mid-Michigan Sports Network. Chris Spotman, Bub McLean, Dan Poole shooting the breeze, the Oil 36. Start to talk about some of the golf action happening out on the course when we come back. You're listening to the Mid-Michigan Sports Network. Back with more right after this. Weave Ridge Financial knows it can be incredibly overwhelming to navigate the world of financial planning. With trusted guidance and easy-to-understand advice, you can feel comfortable in your financial future with Weave Ridge Financial. Weave Ridge Financial assists people in all stages of life with a specialization in retirement and investment planning. Experience the power of working with an advisor dedicated to your success. Visit WeaveRidgeFinancial.com. Visit them in downtown Mount Pleasant. Call or text 989-953-7888. Weave Ridge Financial, member SIPC. Martinez Painting, Central Michigan's trusted painting professionals. They specialize in both interior and exterior jobs for your home and business. No matter how big or how small the job, they transform any space with quality and precision. Learn more by visiting Martinez Painting on Facebook today or give them a call at 989-317-5536. All Seasons Fireworks is a big fan of all the athletes, coaches, officials, and volunteers who make high school sports happen. To make your next event bigger and brighter, stop by All Seasons Fireworks on M20 in Mount Pleasant. Graduations, birthdays, weddings, or a big win become more memorable underneath a night sky lit up by the magic of fireworks. All Seasons Fireworks on M20 in Mount Pleasant. When your team or business needs to look good, don't get left hanging. Call or stop by Hanging by a Thread in Wademan, the official embroiders for the Mid-Michigan Sports Network. Hanging by a Thread, a proud supporter of local schools.
GNS Mechanical in Wademan offers service and installation on everything for your home and business. From a simple filter replacement to furnace, central air service, and install, geothermal, and walk-in coolers and freezers. If you have a need, GNS Mechanical has a solution. Learn more at gnsmechanical.com or call 989-644-2106.
Imagine a home that reflects your style. With WW Construction, that dream will become a reality. As a trusted Mid-Michigan builder, WW Construction specializes in builds and remodels that turn ordinary spaces into extraordinary ones. Join the growing family of homeowners who trust WW Construction for quality and craftsmanship. Call WW Construction today at 989-621-2722 to make your dreams a reality.
Let's head back to the action on the Mid-Michigan Sports Network.
Welcome back to it on the Mid-Michigan Sports Network. Chris Bachman, Dan Poole, Bub McLean, shooting the breeze, hanging out. Let me see if I got you on the right mic there, Dan. Give me a... Oh, now we got you, I think.
All right.
All right, there we go. We got
I
it
can
back.
talk again.
Nick, Chris Bachman, Dan Poole hanging out at the Oiler 36. Really cool opportunity for these kids to come here, play at the Polecat today. Bucks run tomorrow. Two of the best courses we have got in the state of Michigan. And Bubba was talking about some of the scores he had in the bathroom for a little break. We'll get back with him here in just a moment. One of the things that I was chatting with Bubba about when we got on the air, I don't know if you've been watching the Pistons playoffs much. You've been checking that out at all, Dan?
You know what? I was a huge basketball fan, and then I kind of lost interest when all of the stuff was going on. I know that it's not their fault, but it just seemed like there was so much, just controversy after controversy. I just got kind of tired of it, so I've kind of left. And I'll tell you that basketball was my favorite sport in high school and all through, and I've had a lot of friends, with Marley and knowing a lot of the basketball players when they were out at Phoenix with Barkley and Ainge, and I've always followed it very closely, but I lost a little bit of it when they started to.
Hey, I agree with it's not the same as it was in the 90s. That's what I really don't watch a lot of the regular season, but when you get to the playoffs, it kind of is a little bit more of that old school basketball.
And I think there was intrigue after, coming back from 3-1, obviously, then, what's going to happen? Are they going to be able to continue on against the Cavaliers and be the number one seed? They obviously proved that they deserved it, but, again, basketball right now, it just seems like it's so. I mean, you win by 12 and then you lose by 30, or you what happens?
I'm not a fan of seeing the 144 to 96 score.
Yeah,
I mean, I will take 86 to 84 over 144 to 86.
It's an odd thing, and you see it's almost like you see guys give up. And I understand completely. These guys are long years, and but mentally it appears that they just kind of go. It'd be like getting out here and you're 7 over after 5, and instead of getting better, you just give up and,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you post a number that doesn't look very good.
All right, Bubba's back with us. Bubba, who's doing what out on the course? Who are the leaders right now here in the Oiler 36?
So team-wise, we got one of our Saginaw Valley League brethren. Saginaw Heritage is plus 16 right now, halfway through, followed by Essexville Garber, who's 18 over as a team, and then Bay City Western and other Valley schools in third at 23 over. And then individually, though, there's actually some really nice scores being not posted yet, but we have 3 gentlemen that are tied for the lead at even right now. AJ Gasper, who's a senior from Flushing, Harry Seifert, who's a junior from East Grand Rapids, and Weston Brown, a sophomore from Midland Dow. So they're all 3 of them are even. Then we have a Midland High kid, another Saginaw Valley League competitor at 1 over. That's Landon Bartlett, and then a plethora of kids at +2 and +3. So there's some nice scores being shot out there right now. We'll see how things come in. But as Dan said, some of these kids started on some of the, I'm not going to say easier type of holes, but there's still some challenging holes left that are going to take some creativity. And if the conditions stay benign like this, which they are really benign right now with very little wind, we could see someone shoot right around par today. But we'll see what happens.
And this golf course, just so everybody knows is out there, this has stretches of where you have to score. The number 1 handicap hole is number 2, but it's basically as the river is there, and the second shot is, a little more difficult. But you gotta score early here. You score 1 through 6. Really, 4, 5, and 6 are all birdie holes if you hit good shots. The meat of the golf course is 7 through 12. You got to drive it good. You got to hit. Every phase of your game has to be strong on those 6 holes, or you're going to walk through there, and you could walk through there 6, 7 over pretty easily. Now 13's a tough, it's nothing there. It's wide open, but it's a par 5, and you got to hit a couple of good shots. And then once you get through 14, that might be an 8-iron or so today for them. 15, 16, 17, and 18 are gettable if you keep it in play. 15 and 16, 15's a little short, 320-yard hole, but boy, you knock it in a hazard, and you make 5 or 6, and you walk away thinking, okay, I should have birdied that hole, but no go.
Kind of a layman's golf question here. Do you want to start on the tougher holes? Do you want to start on the easier holes to get your confidence going? Or is it just all about rounding it together into one round and continue to hit?
You would have to ask the players that. I think number 1 in this case here gives you an opportunity to. It's got fairly wide open fairway, some area to the right, because when you normally start, you might be a little tighter, and your tendency is to push one out there. You get away with that. You might be able to hit a decent second and still have an opportunity at birdie. But if you're starting on number 7, which is, to me, where we put the tee box today, it's not as difficult, but from the back tee is probably the most difficult tee shot on the golf course. And then number 8 follows it. You got 2 of the toughest there. So if you start on 7 and 8, or start 7, you're going to have to hit quality shots early. And if you don't, you're walking away with 2 double bogeys or even more. And so that could put a real damper on your day real quick. But, you could also feel like, okay, I just started on number 9, which is a relatively open par 5. It's a tough one. Now, when you're finishing, you're even par, you're 1 over, under, or whatever, and you get to number 7 and 8, you got to finish strong. So it can work either way. You can be in the middle portion of your round. I always loved the tougher holes in the middle because you had chances both in the front and back side of doing it. And so I looked at it a little bit different, and, but everybody, if you get through 7, say you start out and you go par, birdie on 7, 8, 9, you got a good chance of throwing a good number up there.
Yep.
Yeah, who were you just trying to get to come on the mic, shutting us down there?
One of my coaches that are here today from Houghton Lake, Jimmy Meggs, he might be back up at some point because we'd like to get a few of the coaches on this at some point just to kind of tell about the experience that a lot of them have been coming for the last 8 years, and just ask them, how things have changed, how things have evolved. Because this is a great, we have a great 1-2 punch here between here today and tomorrow, and then we've had the Mount Pleasant Country Club that's been rotated into this tournament as well. So it's nice to hear what the coaches have to say as well.
I'll be interested, and this won't be heard by probably myself, but I'd be very interested on Wednesday to today how this golf course might have changed just by the way I tweaked a few of the tee boxes. I made the par 3s a little bit shorter, but with more difficult pins. Number 10 can play as long as 240, but I play in it at about 135 today. But the pin's way in the back in a little, kind of it's a very small level. It's got the bunkers around it. And somebody who played it Wednesday would be very interesting to me to hear, how did you think the change, the look, the direction. Number 3, one of the things I really did in the design is like a hole like number 3. It's got 2 very distinctive areas of tee on the right side of the cart path, on the left. Today, the pin's in the middle left. So instead of having them on the left side, I moved them over to the right to create a little bit different angle. Same as I did on 18. Different one. One's this way, kind of right to left. The other one's left to right. So trying to get them to understand the visual side of this game and being able to pick spots out long, hit it off the edge of a bunker, do those things. That's where the learning curve to me happens. It's when you can come out here, somebody plays this golf course 5 days in a row and it never plays the same twice.
Which I love.
And that's really the challenge of to me a championship style golf course.
How much fun is that for you, deciding where to put the pin and not every day, but knowing you've got some high schoolers coming in thinking, you know what, I'm going to make this one a little tough on them, or is that?
Well, you accept the challenge of trying to make it a variation of looks. I've always believed, and I probably didn't do as good a deal today because we have a rotation of holes that pin placements that we don't want to get out of and have our guy who cuts the pins tomorrow have to change his whole rotation. So if it's today was back on number 1, then I give him an idea where that back one should be. And then if it's back, it's going to be front, middle, and back, those type of things. So I look at the hole locations first and then try to match up a distance that I feel will make a challenging shot. And it's not always distance. I've played some of the easiest par 3s at 230 yards with a big green, and you can play a little tiny green, that's 125 yards, and that's what the number 12 at the Augusta does. It just sits there. It's just a perfect timing and perfect position for that particular shot.
Yeah, they don't ever move that one?
No, I mean, the tee boxes might be moved a little bit from day to day, and the pin placement's going to change, as we know. But that's what you try to accomplish. And as a 7-day rotational golf course with pins, you gotta try to blend in the length with the difficulty. If you've got a 200-yard or 215-yard par 3, you're going to put the pin in probably the center of the green or somewhere where it's reachable. Today, they will be challenged by the pin, not the distance.
Gotcha. And kind of switch things up a little bit here, talk about another one of our spring sports. Dan, if you would have had the opportunity, would you have ever thought about playing high school volleyball back in your day? Is that something you thought you would have been good at?
Well,
Did you have some hops back in your basketball days?
I had spring, but it was more of a reactive spring. I was very quick on the deal. It's kind of like looking at Rodman. He didn't jump out of the building.
Right,
he just had that perfect timing. He had that. I always felt that way. And remembering that when I was on basketball in Mount Pleasant, our guys, we had bigger guys in the middle, so I kind of stayed on the outside. Volleyball's always been an interesting quandary to me.
Yeah.
I kind of understand it, but I most likely would have been a setter. Or I'd be the guy that'd be getting hit in the head all the time.
Oh, yeah,
front row.
Yeah. I'm amazed by the gals when you watch those lanky 6'2".
Coheed's daughter.
Yeah. Very good.
Well, you need to go see Jack Shespatowski then dropping the hammers, because the boys, the first year for Mount Pleasant Oiler volleyball, think about all the teams they're playing, have been around for a lot longer. They're 17-6-2, Dan.
Really?
Yes, they have been unbelievable. I got to chat with a bunch of them earlier this year, kind of a preseason preview, and they were all really excited to be trying something new, had no expectations going into it, and now I see they beat Midland Dow Wednesday as well, 2-0, and so just really cool to see what's happening there, and a big shout out to Brandy Grogowski.
That's what I was going to say. Brandy is...
And I messaged her to see if she was going to be out here today. She says, if Bubba needed me, and I almost wanted to message her and be like, well, I need you to, but like I said, with you and Mac out here, I'm sure she's holding things down back at the school, but
phenomenal coach.
The job that she has done, you see how good the girls are, but then you really get your coaching skills put to a test. For example, just like you golfing, when you got somebody who's never golfed before, she's got a whole set of boys that their only volleyball experience is in gym class. That's it.
That's it. So to take something from that's so in the infancy of it, obviously they've watched enough of it, they've seen enough of it, they've played enough of it, like you said, in PE class and so on and so forth. But you don't really drill down into all the intricacies of what that sport entails. I mean, you have a certain pattern that you use. It's almost like bowling. They bowl on different patterns, or they call them spider and cobra and all that. But there's different patterns that you can have, a 3x2x1 or a 2x2x2, or it's just or a 3x3 or 2x3x1. It just really depends on what you're good at and what your skill set brings. And it's really cool to see them practice and to kind of work through things and see different type of adversities that they come through, and see them play well. So it's not just throwing
it up in the air and hitting
it?
No,
it's like I said.
No.
Yeah, you got some guys. You got some Jules Wilson, the Shespatowski, Scobie, some guys who can really go up there and sky and smash it. But oh my goodness, to see a guy go dig one, like there's a lot of digs in girls' high school volleyball where they're able to get that spike and dig it out. For boys, it's going straight down to the floor, so it's pretty cool to see. And if you get a chance to go check them out, Dan, I recommend you do so.
Well,
and
I live right next to the high school, so it's not a long trip for me. But like I said, I would probably envision that to be in that that shortstop second baseman combination that can go down, get it, throw it, and dig it out and go. The hands, the ability, the hand-eye coordination, the reflexes. Would be to me similar to that guy who's a good infielder. That's
you'd be on the back row ready to dig something out if you had to. Yeah, but I was going to have Kerry Hamill come out and talk a little track and field from Shepherd, but he's got another job and everything, so he's not going to be able to make it out. But I want to talk some of those other spring sports, and I was telling Bubba of the 12 baseball and softball teams I covered. I'm talking Ithaca, Clare, Shepherd, Mount Pleasant, Sacred Heart Academy, Beale City. Not a one of them have a losing record, Dan. And think about how much they've played each other. Ithaca baseball's 11-4, softball's 15-5, Clare baseball's 9-9, softball's 15-7, Mount Pleasant baseball's 11-8, softball's 15-11, Beale baseball's 16-7. Beale softball 16-5. They just split yesterday with Midland Dow as well, the Beale City Aggie girls. Shepherd 17-5 for baseball, 13-7-1, and then Sacred Heart 23-1 for the baseball season and 18-2 for the softball season. Just incredible baseball, softball we have here in the area, man.
I follow it fairly close, not enough to where I know the intricate details of whose kids and grandkids and stuff are now in the area, but it kind of, to me, it kind of runs in spurts like this. You know, we had a group of guys back in our day with the Colheeds, the Tennysons, the Ansons, and a group of boys that were 2 years apart. And so you had, these guys that were always playing together. And when you do that and you get that team aspect outside of all things, they're hanging out together, they're doing other things, and then all of a sudden you'll get a dormant time where maybe you don't have that same friendships and stuff that sports bring to you. You're always love to see area athletics because it tells you 2 or 3 different things. Number one, you got quality coaching and quality individuals that have stepped up and helped these kids. And then you've got motivation from the kids to get better and better and better. And that has to come from a lot of different ways, parents, whatever it may be. And then, facilities. I mean, when you look at what all of these places now are starting to get, they've got, the facilities and the want to represent, their area. And that's a, back, we can go back to our day. We played in Frank Dembski Field. We never, the other fields weren't there. So you got what you needed, but it was a different animal. We didn't have indoor, availability. We didn't have all the training stuff and all the things they have. You just did what you had to do. But I think these kids, in some way, they got to start to recognize that there's people in this community and in all communities that really want them to succeed.
Yeah,
and that's a great thing.
Yep, and the travel ball, like I said, it can go a little crazy, a little wonky with baseball and softball in the summer for some of the youngsters, if you ask me. But what so many of these teams have done in our area of, all right, all the Beale City kids are on a travel ball team together. All the Shepherd kids are on a travel. It's no longer like the quote-unquote Isabella County team. You get all these guys playing together, and then as I said, they're getting that camaraderie, playing together for 6, 7, 8 years. By the time they get to high school, they're playing against other high schools. They're thinking, we're not playing against kids from 6 different Chicago schools. This is going to be pretty easy taking on this team.
There's nothing like having, and again, I come from an era where across the street from my house, we built a baseball field, which is now apartment complexes. And, all of us met, like I said, to go back and, Mike and Chris Tennyson, Steve and Todd Anson, and Bob and Jim Colheed, and the Lynch boys, Terry and Terry Joe. We had that, that same mentality, and that we were playing against our older friends. Man, we wanted to beat them, and it was a competitive type. And that you can't take away competitiveness. That's what makes this golf the hardest thing to do, because you're out there by yourself, and you don't have the luxury of, going 0 for 3 and winning, or pitching a good game and losing, all those things. You got those teammates there. These guys have to draw from a lot of different things, negative and positive. And you'll see the heads go down, the smiles. You'll see such a variety of emotions. And, everybody says, isn't Freddie low-keyed and couples now? Heck, he was the biggest competitor. I mean, he would get listen, if you're playing our game here in this golf and you don't get mad, then something's wrong with you. And every one of us deal with that. But at a high school level like this, especially playing on a golf course like this could be very it could be very rewarding, and somebody may really jump their game up for the rest of the year by playing these, us and Bucks, or it could hit them the other way. It just depends on how they want to do it. And I think Bubba, what I see that after they get done playing, he brings them in and tries to figure out, okay, what went on.
Yep.
Each individual. But if each individual isn't analyzing it himself and being, honest with himself and his appraisal of his game, I would say what the first thing they're going to say is what? I putted bad, or I did this. Well, it could have been your iron game. It could have been any phase of that. But they have to be able to then draw back on, where they made their mistakes and get better from it.
Yeah, we were talking baseball, softball. You've been able to watch the Oiler baseball, softball team, or you've been busy with golf mostly? But
I've tried to get over there as much as I can, but back to what you guys were talking about where you grew up. Wasn't the movie The Sandlot based on you guys growing up? Wasn't that what it was? Yeah. So,
there you go.
I've tried to get over there and watch a little bit of it. Obviously, with the new facility that we have, that Julie Maxon and Jason and all those. I mean, it's amazing what our softball gets to play now, what our baseball gets to play. I mean, our facilities at Mount Pleasant are so top-notch. I mean, our football field, tennis courts, all that. I mean, we're very, 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 very blessed, sometimes spoiled in some regard, but we have a great community foundation here that allows our student athletes to be able to participate in great facilities, whether it's there. Golf courses that we have here, like we alluded to earlier, with between Polecat and
Bubba's
Buck's Run.
plane's taking off
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
I know they left without me.
He's
Gosh
heading
darn
up
it.
north to play after
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, so I mean, no, it's been fun getting over to watch some of them right now as well. But it's like all these kids all my friends' kids are like getting to the point now where they're starting to graduate. So now it's like the next batch coming through, and some of these I don't know as well. I'm coaching them, but it's like some of the names are so new now. So it's just the way it is. As I'm going to be 50 years old in a couple of weeks, it's like, wow, where does the time
Poor
pass? You know?
baby.
No, I'm telling you, I feel great still. Knock on wood. So yeah. But I just can't get over how great the conditions are today. And I have to thank Dan, obviously, and Mike and Kevin for allowing us to be out here again and giving the opportunity to these kids. But like Dan mentioned earlier, the golf, you have to learn how to compartmentalize and internalize just going from shot to shot. And one of the things that I just don't like hearing anymore too is, well, I shot 83 but I played bad. I was like, you shot 83 but you played bad. Okay, let's go through that. And like Dan said, after every time we play or compete, whatever it is, we just sit down for 5 or 10 minutes and kind of go through, okay, what did you do out there? What was your plan out here today? Did you have a plan? Did you decide to do this, do that type of thing? So some of the things you like to hear, that's a great shot. Some of the things you don't like to hear, but really it's just letting them learn how to internalize what happened out here so they can take what they've learned and apply it to the next round.
And you guys have alluded to it some, but high school golf, Bubba, you're not out there all the time.
No.
You know what I mean? And things are a little bit different today as we're shooting the breeze, but the kids are out there on your own. You're with 3 other guys from other schools. You get to spend a lot of time with them as well. And so I think as far as building friendships, golf is one of the sports that is built the most for that. And again, obviously you can come out here and get very competitive as well, but you ain't playing against the other guy. You're playing against the course. So it's a really cool, unique experience. Do you still got some friends you golfed with way back in the day in high school, Dan? As I age you a little bit, I'll joke.
You know, you see them, but when I played at Arizona, I've just played a couple of times with some of my teammates back in at Arizona. But we're getting, I mean, us, it's reminiscing about different things. Old teammates that not just went out and played golf together, but maybe went out and had a beer, and it was school and all that. So we had different, and we came from such a diverse area. Because I was from Michigan, we had guys from Seattle, we had guys from California, Hartford. So we had a variety of people that we would get to know and become friends with. I want to come back to just what you just said a little while ago. This golf course, golf, when Bubba analyzes, when he sits down or anybody sits down and talks about it, to me the learning experience is say, okay, let's break it down a little bit differently. How'd you drive it? Okay, that's one thing. How did you drive it? Okay, how did you hit your irons? How was your short game? How was your putt? Because you can never put all of them together. Very few times you do everything perfect. So you have to find what you were weak on a golf course like this, and then go what? You got to go work on it. Because I did a deal, and I told you, and and you were mad, and I was mad too. Last year I put together a little thing for a piece of paper that said, guys, critique yourself on your driving. 1 to 5, where are you? 1 to 5, where are you on irons? 5 or 6 different categories. You know how many people gave it back to me?
1?
0.
Oh, man.
So they weren't able to even. I gave them a list. I said, okay, how's your driving? What is it? 1 to 5. You're a 2. Okay, then we need to work on that. Anything below, to me, a 3, you got to start working on it. Iron game, short game, pitching around greens, whatever, putting. And I never that showed me a lot, and that they don't have the want to understand how to get better, because until you understand how you're going to get better and have a plan to do that, you're just spinning your wheels. You're just going out and saying you're not a golfer, then you're just playing golf.
Kind of like me. We'll make that joke. I'm trying to turn into a golfer.
All about, was the beer cold? That's a big, that's a big thing when you do that.
Yeah. Now who we got? Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So now with us on is the new GM out here, Mike Longyear, and he's been great welcoming to us so far as well. So, Mike, I kind of turn it over to you and like to kind of introduce yourself and kind of what your role is and kind of what we're doing moving forward here at the Polecat.
Yeah, as the PGA general manager here at the Polecat, It's been a blessing to be here. It's happy to have the Oilers out here playing. Turns out to be a beautiful day. Started out cold, but it's really sunny and really nice. We're happy to see that here in Central Michigan. Happy to have Dan Pohl here and get Dan's insight on stuff. That's a tremendous.
Well, let me just say you're underscoring your own value here, buddy, because Mike is not just the GM here. He's been all over the place. And as we talked about Troon earlier and what the new management capabilities are and all that, it doesn't move forward without a guy that has the overall experience to understand how this place is going to get to where we want to be. Yep. Which is just growing and growing. All the little things that he's been involved with, been at middle range public golf courses, lower end private courses. He's got a great feel for all of that, along with being a good player, having connections in all phases of the golf game and outside of that. So Mike brings something that has been much needed, but also because of our situations over the year hasn't been really capable of doing it as like we are now. But I would be interested in Mike kind of explaining the not so much the Troon management style, but his thinking of where we're at, how we're going to get to where we want to go, be, and what's the steps to get there. Now I don't know if this is if we got enough time to do that for you. But bottom line is you have to have somebody that gets the whole sense of it.
Yep, I think we're shooting the breeze until the tourney's done. My battery runs out on something, or so. We're good. We're good to go. Like I said, actually, I asked these guys their favorite golf course. I'm sure you've been all over. Mike is his. So I want to make sure I get that right. Where's your favorite course you've ever been at, Mike?
Great question. I've been fortunate enough to play all over the world and all over the country, but one of the courses that I really enjoyed was Muirfield Village. Jack's course, where they play the Memorial Tournament down there on an annual basis. I always thought that was a treat when I got to play it.
And where's that at exactly?
Near, just outside of Columbus in Dublin, Ohio.
All right.
Yeah, I made mention of it on the Ryder Cup team. That's where the Ryder Cup was in '87, and it's one of my. But again, Mike will understand this too. Jack has tweaked that over the years, big time. This golf course here, except for a couple little things, and most golf courses don't have the capability or the financial ability to, kind of change things on a daily basis, basically. But if Jack wants to put $5 million in and add this, and this, it's going to be done. So a lot of times I look at golf courses, as we talked about with some of the other ones, and that just out in front of you, old sky, Colonials and the Rivieras that stay the same all the time. But that's a good choice.
Yep. Yeah. I think this is a great golf course here at the Polecat. I think it's probably underrated. I think it's a great layout from 1 tee all the way to 18 green. And as Dan said, it is laid right out in front of you. The reviews that we get from the players that play this, they love this golf course. I think it's great. We're going to use, as mentioned before, we're managed by Troon Golf, which is one of the leaders in the world. They manage over 950 properties worldwide, some of the very best. They have more managed courses that are played on tour, on all the tours, collegiate events, and so forth. And we're going to use some of those Troon standards to really help elevate already a great property and really take it to the next level by using some of the Troon standards and things that they've done in the past.
I think Dan's talked about, you kind of alluded to there, one of the things that's special about this course is you experience pretty much everything here at this course playing one round. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to use every club in your bag. Starting right off number 1, you start with the par 5 and finishing here on 18 as we're watching this come up. But it's a great layout, great par 3s. And the course almost seems to get better as it goes. As you get around, as you tee off on 1 and start working your way through the golf course, and you make the turn, you tee off on 1, you don't come back till 18. You get into 11, 12, 13. They're just beautiful holes back there. 14, 15. You can really score on the backside. I think there's a lot of opportunities for scoring, but what a wonderful layout this place is.
Yeah, and for people who don't, here's what happens on a lot of golf courses that I've played, and you get different visuals from different areas. But if you play the black tees here, you're going to get a kind of a sense of how this course can play. You play from the whites, you're going to get pretty much that same sense. It's not going to be like you're completely changing the dynamic of the golf course. But I hope people, when they come out and have a chance to play here, do play a variety. Not for score, as we had talked about. If you're just playing for score, you play from the silvers and you shoot whatever you want. But when you want to see what the designer or architect really was seeing and how he worked to fit, go to the back tee and just look. Or, as Mike and I do a lot, we go out in the middle of the fairway and look backwards, or from the green and look backwards. You can tell a lot about what the designer was trying to accomplish when you look backwards to the tee. Yeah. And that's a cool thing out in here because you got such a variety of looks as we move forward.
Yeah, and as I got you guys here, I got to let you plug the event center as well too, because if you want to put on an event here, there's not really a better place.
Yeah, we do a wonderful job. The Polecat not only has 18 amazing holes, we have a great range, but we also have an event center here. In that event center, we can put over 300 people. We also have a tent. We're doing things out a little unique. Dan went to the University of Arizona, and we're created something called the #Wildcat, which is a chip and putt golf course. Looks kind of like Top Golf, but it's happening right here in front of you. We're doing it on Friday and Saturdays at 5 o'clock throughout the whole summer. So we do that out in the tent. You can get food, you can drink, you can play right in front of you, listen to music. It's really a fun time, and it's called #Wildcat. It's red, white, and blue. We give a portion of the proceeds go to a military. And like I said, the Wildcat, Dan went to University of Arizona, the Wildcat's right there. But our event center, we do everything from memorial services to baby showers, to weddings, to Christmas parties, and everything that happens that way. If you can think of it, we pretty much can do it on the event side.
Yeah, and graduations, as those come up right now. You want to have beautiful wedding pictures, graduation pictures. You do it at a golf course. You're going to give yourself some picturesque views without a doubt. And for you, Mike, where'd you come from exactly before you were here?
Well, I grew up in North Central Ohio.
All right.
Played there, went to school at Eastern Michigan University, played some college golf, played high school, turned professional back in 1992. And I've been at several places. I've been fortunate enough to work over with the Classic Club, where the Bob Hope Chrysler Classic was. I was with Troon at that point. I've been in the private sector and the public sector both. As a general manager, but my roots are as a PGA professional. I grew up playing, teaching. I taught a lot of players on the tour, on all 3 tours, doing that, teaching. I went to school to be a school teacher, so that was always a little bit in my blood to teach. But I've spent my last 5 years down in North Central Indiana, down at Sand Creek Country Club.
And so as far as weather, course environment goes, probably somewhat similar, yeah?
Yeah,
all right.
It's a similar.
Yeah, but it's kind of because if you were coming from Florida or something, I was going to say how pleasantly surprised were you, type of a thing. But
he's just got to deal with me. That's the only thing he's got.
Mount Pleasantly
going,
surprised.
Hey, can't you leave for a couple of days, Cat?
I got Bubba back here with us. Bubba, I'm going to make you pull up the scores again. We got anything new? Was it Heritage that was leading the last time we checked it, if I remember correctly?
Bring this up here.
And the other thing I want to ask you, Sacred Heart's here today, right?
Yeah, Sacred Heart's
Are they the smallest school in the tournament, you think?
They're the smallest school, and then we have 2 Division IV schools, so them and Nouvelle, and then we've got a decent amount of Division I, 2, and 3 schools. So I try to get as all divisions if possible, and it's important to give them the opportunity to compete in this tournament as well, because you've got some of the smaller schools. You have some really good sticks out there. Some kids who can flat out play. I mean, some of the Division III and Division IV scores that you see at the state tournament, they're in the 290s and low 300s. Like, wow, that's pretty well, and some pretty good courses.
Yep, and so kind of pull up that leaderboard here again.
Heritage still in the first place, followed by Essexville Garber, then St. John's. So that's where we're at.
So Western's fallen down a little bit. They must have gone through that tough part of the course
stretches,
out there.
Man, you get, especially if you're counting 4 out of 5. A couple of guys have a little meltdown, and all of a sudden, see ya.
They're here. There's still 2 kids at even par: Seifert from East Grand Rapids, Gasper from Flushing. Weston Brown from Dallas, 1 over now, and then we've got 3 kids at +2 and a +3, +4. So Right around in there. We'll have a few kids in the 70s today, but I would say probably the average today would probably be around 86, 87, I would think, for the course, because with 137 golfers, there's a lot of swings out there today.
Dive a little bit more into the poll kit here, Bubba. What's your favorite course, or favorite hole on this course?
Favorite hole here is 16.
16.
I like 16 because there's some risk and reward involved. You got those 2 big trees that are down there in the middle, or 3 big trees that when Dan constructed it, probably wanted to keep them in there and built it and all that. But I just like that because you can get the driver out, you can go for it, you can hit a mid-iron, you get a hybrid, and then it's all about the second shot, I think, on that. And depending on with the green, it's kind of a longer, skinny green. You've got 3 tiers. If the pin's up, then you hit short. If it's in the middle, well, you risk going long, and then you got to putt downhill. Or I always tell my kids, stay below the hole over its back like it is today. And it takes a really good iron because there's not a lot of room for error on the right and left. Because if you go right, it goes down to the right, down into a big
it's a ravine,
and down to the left, a big ravine. So,
but
yeah.
I appreciate that he said that. Today I put the pin or the tee box up.
All right.
I wanted him to go with the green.
Yeah. All right.
Now they would only have like 215 to carry the hazard that'll allow them the opportunity to go at that. But at that point, where that pin is, they're going to have to hit almost a perfect shot. They might knock it on, a lot of them in the front, and then 3-putt, get their par. But that's a specific, hole where you could, if you put it on the black back tees or even the back white portion of it, they're probably going to hit iron short, lay up, and then play it the conventional way. But I wanted to see how many people would be interested if you ever were able to take a survey on how many guys actually win at that green in comparison to like what we did on Wednesday, which was very few would be able to go at it.
Yeah. What about your favorite hole out here?
Well, I'm going to talk on 2 fronts. I'm going to talk as a designer, and then I'm going to talk as a player. As a designer, my favorite's 12. Because 12 was out there in a flat area with nothing really distinguishable in there. I think the bunker pattern there is, with the 2 stacked up in front, give you a very different perception of how far those are away from the green. I think the left side of the green offers the attackable hole location. Put it in the middle to back right around the corner, and all of a sudden it's not only a club or 2 longer, but it's you have to hit a shot. It can play as much as 450 from the back tees. They're probably playing it at 380 or 385 today. Water on the right. And when we did the lake, we built the mounding to the left to really change what the look was between 13 and 12 was. As a player, I still like 11. I think 11 is, and I'm a cutter, but it's a soft draw. But if you stand out in that fairway 150 yards from the green, it's long from, north to south, not deeper in different places, but shallower in others. And so the hole locations can be so dramatically different from front right to back left. And then the way the bunker patterns is out in the fairway, the one that's 30 yards from the green looks like it's right on top of the one on the left side. I really love the left side of the green because it's most people come up short there because it's visual situation in the left bunker, but and with the water behind the green and right, a lot of people will bail left. So anytime you're looking at things, I should normally say it's par 5s, but I'm a huge par 3 guy. So you'd have to look at 17 as one of the top par 3s from all areas around the deal from the standpoint of our signature hole and all those. But when you're playing and you got to hit a good drive and then that, you might have a 7, 8, 9 iron, whatever, into the 11th, you can have such a variety of options. And normally the northwest wind is into you and slightly across. So it does play, as a player, I enjoy that.
The wind's a factor in that one. Yeah. What about you, Mike?
Great question. I think Dan described that very well. I'll give you a little different take on some of it. I never want to hate any of the holes because I got to play them all. So I don't. I don't want any of them to be mad at me and
take it out on you.
Take it out on me for anything. So I really can appreciate a lot of the holes we have here. I mean, they're stunning. I mean, even 2, how you have to play 2. Sometimes you really have to kind of fasten your chin strap and get ready to play a few of these holes. And there's some demanding tee shots out there. But the hole that always two holes kind of strike me as two that I just think are really scenic and pretty, and they're kind of opposites a little bit, is 5 and 11. You know, when you play 5, it kind of sets up, you can take it up over the tree line and kind of drop it down with the soft fade, and it kind of has an very up north feel. And then 11, for all the same reasons that Dan said, I think that's the two holes that really just catch my attention a lot when on that. You know, and I'm watching the kids play and so forth, and it brings back a lot of memories from when I played. My junior year, we managed to win everything that we played. We finished first in every event, and we finished first individually in every event and so forth. But one of the things that we did when we played was, you know, there was 5 of us, and no one ever wanted to be the drop scorer. Nobody wanted to be the drop scorer. So we used to do something, a can of corn is what they did, and they started doing this. Mark Hankins did it at Iowa. Whoever was drop scorer had to put a can of corn in their bag, and they had to carry it in their bag until they were no longer drop scorer, and you could pass it on to the next team. So one of the things that we were able to do is, you know, we played for each other. We played hard all the way to the end, even drop score. You know, you never assumed that your teammate was going to pick you up, you know, and it's watching the kids out here and watching the kids try, it just brings back some pretty cool memories.
And that can of corn doesn't seem like a lot, but 18 holes.
Well, we had to autograph it and date it every time that you were on there. Right. So, it went down in the archives.
It was a big can of corn.
It's kind of a neat connection. You talked about Coach Hankins, who's now at USC. That was actually Ryan Brem's golf coach at Michigan State.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of, there's a neat tied to that there here with the Brem family, you know, originally being part of this facility as well.
Yep, I'll send out to another commercial break. Let us catch a breath. When we come back, we're back at the Oiler 36. We got Mike, we got Dan, we got Spock, we got Bubba. Back with more right after this.
Hello, I'm Mike Stanton, and I'm honored to represent the Marilyn Chapman Memorial Fund, created to honor Marilyn's legacy of generosity, compassion, and commitment to our community. At its core, our mission is simple: to support our youth, remove barriers, and create opportunities for kids to grow, compete, and succeed, both in their community and in the game of life. We are incredibly excited to support the Mid-Michigan Sports Network. They do an outstanding job highlighting student athletes, local schools, and the power of teamwork, shining a light on the hard work and dedication that is often overlooked. This partnership allows us to celebrate not just wins on the field, but character and leadership along the way. At the end of the day, it's about investing in our youth, strengthening our communities, and carrying forward Maryland's spirit of giving. To learn more about the Marilyn Chapman Memorial Fund and the events we support, find us on Facebook by searching Marilyn Chapman Memorial Fund. Go Blue Jays.
Value is not just a price. When you buy something for your home, it's an investment. Knowing that you're getting a great deal and service after the sale is priceless. At Woods Household, we only carry quality products for your home at competitive prices. Furniture that is attractive and durable. Comfortable mattresses that last for years. Flooring that stands up to wear and tear. These are all products that last by trusted name brands like Flexsteel, Serta, Whirlpool, and many more. So shop the Woods way.
Mumford Oil and Gas Supply is your one-stop shop for top quality products and procurement in the Michigan oil and gas industry. With over 45 years of experience and a strong commitment to customer satisfaction, Mumford Oil and Gas Supply delivers the best solutions for your oil and gas production, drilling, and service needs. If you need it, Mumford Oil and Gas Supply can get it. Visit them on Fancher today or give them a call at 989-317-8582. Malley Construction in Mount Pleasant are experts in residential and commercial construction. From poured walls, flat work, pipe work, and road work, Malley Construction does it all. And they are Michigan Department of Transportation pre-qualified. Malley Construction is family-owned and a proud supporter of local high school sports. Bryce Updegraff with Pradium Realty, Robin Stressman and Associates thanks the coaches and officials who put in the time to help student athletes achieve their dreams and goals. For all of your real estate needs, the Bryce is right with Bryce Updegraff. With Pradium Realty, Robin Stressman and Associates, 989-620-6595. The Diner, where homemade favorites come to life every day for breakfast and lunch. From fluffy pancakes to savory sandwiches, The Diner has your cravings covered. Discover the perfect blend of comfort food and camaraderie at The Diner. Join them every Friday night till 7 for their famous fish fry. The Diner on North Mission, Mount Pleasant. Hiring a cleaning service doesn't mean you're lazy. Martinez Cleaning knows it means you value your time and want to come home and relax and not worry about the mess. Martinez Cleaning allows you to do just that. Come home and relax to a nice, clean home. Schedule your appointment and learn more by visiting Martinez Cleaning on Facebook or call today at 989-289-8615. Welcome back to the Oiler 36 here on the Mid-Michigan Sports Network. Bubba talking about, guys are avoiding him out there, and I don't really know if I can blame them because we got Mike, we got Dan Pohl on here at the Polecat. Bubba's going to try and recruit some coaches out there, but coaches, I think they know what they're getting into, Dan, after maybe hearing a little bit of this last year, thinking, you know what, I'm just going to stay away there. But
I don't think that's the case. I think they just not sure exactly what you're going to ask them. So that's going to be a little scary for them. But, if they're interested in this game, which they all are, they're here for the reasons. And I've seen coaches that are dealing with, teams that are, mediocre at best, and they got a lot on their plate. And so, they love the game. They wouldn't be doing what they're doing if they didn't. So it looks like he's recruited somebody. And by golly, we're going to bring some female talent in here and get rid of us guys.
No, we're going.
Well, yeah, I think the coaching is getting better and better. I think Mike would probably be able to see that because he's been in that realm a little bit even longer than I have. Is that you?
Yeah, I spent 18 years coaching. Actually, I coached high school golf for 10 years and college golf for 8 years. With that. So, it's an amazing time to spend with the young people and just different things. Like some of the things we would teach, we're at a boys golf tournament right now, is we would teach the boys where they kept their car keys and where they kept their wallet because they kept losing them. So, like, hey, it either goes in the right pocket or the left, but it goes there every single time is where you put your wallet or where you put your keys or where you put your phone, because it seemed like after every event, I can't find my phone. I can't find my keys. I can't find my wallet.
Sometimes you guys are coaches of life. Way beyond it. And who do we got here with us?
I'm Maggie Edison. I am the East Grand Rapids boys coach.
All right, Maggie, how did Bubba rein you into coming on here? Well, this is the Mid-Michigan Sports Network. I broadcast local high school sports with Ithaca, Clare, Shepherd, Mount Pleasant, Beale City, and Sacred Heart Academy. And we don't, obviously, we'd make the kids really nervous following around on the course. But last year we set up out here just kind of shooting the breeze. It was a ton of fun. So we're back out here this year. You think you're the second. I think we got one coach on last year. But talk about what the experience is like being able to come up here and play these two wonderful courses on these 2 days.
Yeah, this is absolutely a treat for us, and we got really lucky. We were supposed to play up in Traverse City in April, and obviously all the rain that we had didn't work out. But a couple years ago we were able to play here, and just crossing paths in tournaments, I was able to say, hey, any chance that you've got an opportunity for us to pop our West Michigan bubble and come up and play some really good courses? So
Maggie, East Grand Rapids is located where then, as far as, is that obviously East of Grand Rapids?
Yeah, we're only
where do you play? I was going to ask you which courses you play and what part of Grand Rapids are you actually?
Yeah, so Kent Country Club is our home course.
Yep. Oh, boy.
And so our conference is at Kent Country Club, Egypt Valley, Quail Ridge, Watermark, and then Indian Trails.
Okay.
So,
a lot of really nice golf courses.
Yeah, we are very fortunate with where we play with our conference.
I'll be at Egypt Valley for the Meyer event for the fundraiser for the food bank.
Yes.
On June, I think it's 3rd and 4th, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So great golf courses, interesting. Those are, I think they're Arthur Hills design courses, I do believe.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of ups and downs for those boys.
Tough greens to manipulate or to maneuver around. The par fives over there are probably the most difficult hitting long woods and stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine strategy-wise, when you guys play there, you have to talk the kids into not going at a few of those.
Yes, we definitely have conversations that while it is the nice visual to be the farthest ball out on the course, it's sometimes better to be in play and safe and take 3 shots to get on the green, but you give yourself a better chance at a birdie.
I'm not familiar. How many ladies are high school boys coaches in the state?
I don't know the total, but in our conference, I'm one of 2.
Okay.
So 2 of our 7. Kim Naparowski is the Grand Rapids Catholic Central coach.
And how did you happen to? Did you play somewhere around there, or did you just get talked into it, or you're the biology teacher and somebody said, "Hey, we need a coach"?
Yeah. It's kind of all of the above. So I played high school golf at East Grand Rapids, and then I came back in 2015 to teach there. I teach math and computer science. and I started helping out with the JV girls golf program, and then that led to a couple years later we added a second JV boys team, and they needed a coach to fill that, and then that led to an opening for varsity boys, and I was able to apply and be fortunate enough to be picked, and this is my 5th season with the varsity boys.
How different is it coaching the boys versus the girls of golf? Because I get to ask that question for girls and boys basketball, baseball, softball, and that kind of stuff. But for golf, it's the same sport, but it's not the same sport, you know?
Yeah, no, there's definitely a difference in the mentality and the competitiveness of it. Boys definitely, and I think that's one of the reasons I love boys golf is that competitive mindset that I have. And JV girls is where I've been before, and for JV girls, our big focus is on learning to love the game and get introduced to the game and want to keep coming back and keep playing. And usually they say that they're there because their parents made them play a sport, and this is what they picked because they didn't want to run. And I'm like, well, that's a great opportunity to get you to play a game for the rest of your life and learn to love it. So it's a different mindset when you're learning to love the game versus having that passion and learning how to take it to the next level.
One of the things I brought up with Bubba is golf is kind of the one sport. You get to high school, you got guys coming out that it might be literally their first time ever playing golf when they come out for the team, but that's one of the great things about golf is it opens up that opportunity. Yeah, you get a girl that comes in that you get the feeling of, well, they're forced to be here to do some type of activity. How do you get them interested? Or golf is so fun, do they end up really taking to it kind of every time?
Yeah, I don't think that it needs much once you get going and the challenge and how it's you against the sport, and you don't have to worry about somebody and what they're doing. You just get to focus on yourself, and every day is, can I beat myself, and working on your game. And I think that naturally brings out that interest and excitement. And with practices, you can get competitions going. I mean, you mentioned basketball, but we play, instead of pig, we play golf. Like, hey, you're going to go up against this girl, and whoever makes the putt, and if you miss it, then you got a G. And just kind of introducing it in a way that makes it fun and exciting, and then continues to build that passion.
Yeah, us who have played this game for a long time, fun sometimes isn't part of that. you try to figure out how to make it fun, but you got to, it's still the learning concept is so different. I mean, you can scrimmage guys in basketball and enjoy the competition there. You have to find ways to, and I'm guessing that doesn't matter where you're at in high school, college, whatever, you guys can speak to it, but each individual is like a psychiatry exam trying to figure out how to pull the best out of each one. Do you find that be over the course of your 5 years, you've probably had 25 different personalities that you have to deal with?
Oh, yeah. I'll walk up, and even sometimes the different days for the same player. Like, you think and then one day they need something different. So sometimes I'll just walk up and be like, what do you need? Do you need enforcement? Do you want me to yell at you? Like, what is going to motivate you to get out of this slump? Or do you need that, like, support today, and tomorrow it's some tough love? And it is definitely learning your golfers and their mindsets, and how I talk on one tee to a player is going to be completely different when the next guy or girl rolls up.
We always, tournament golf is always, how you'll learn from that. I never really understood that concept because you do it again and then you do it again, and at some point you're just, you're a little lax in the brain is what we'll end up telling them. But is it harder to get them to enjoy the game when you're trying to get them to get better? Because the enjoyment should be in a lot of different ways. It's either the practice, the way they practice, the way they, the intensity level that they don't have out there that they might have somewhere else. I practiced always. I hit less balls and learned. It was always I had something that I was trying to do, and I watched Bubba's group a lot of times when he's not here or he's over on the side, and they don't know what they're practicing. They don't really get an idea of what it is they're supposed to be to get better. And that's got to be, as a coach and as somebody who's played the game, a little more frustrating, would you say?
Yeah, I think you take in what you're seeing on the course. Like right now, the running joke for me is, are we really going to chip that ball? Like, why aren't we thinking about putting? Just because we're, 10 yards off the green or 10 feet off doesn't mean you have to chip it. And so it's watching what's happening in those tournament moments and bringing it into practice. So a couple of weeks ago, I said, all right, we're chipping, but you can't use a single wedge today. What does it feel like with a 7-iron? What does it feel like if you putt from the rough or hit a hybrid? And just get those different experiences, because sometimes you have to be creative, and then you can save yourself those mistakes and opportunities of learning that we had.
Well, these kids are even going to see a change as this weather changed. This morning, a little bit of moisture still on the green, still around the greens. The ball was going to come out a little differently. And unless you've practiced those or been under, playing conditions like that, the tendency is to continue to do the same thing that you've been doing, and it doesn't work. So, I mean, as a past player, I watched, if we watching guys over here, some are taking it high, some are bumping it, it's just there's a confidence level, obviously, but a lot of players, I'm sure, haven't hit some of the shots that they're going to have out here, that they would have at Egypt Valley, that they would have at some of the golf courses you play. So how do you practice those?
Yeah, it's looking for knowing where we're going and thinking about like where on our practice facility or where out on the course. If it's a slow day and I can take them out there, can we go and practice those? And just as a coach, thinking ahead and what are you going to see today? And just even in the van ride, taking advantage of that time to kind of go hole by hole and say, hey, just a reminder, if the ball's above your feet or below your feet, these are the things that we need to be keeping in mind.
Has your team played here before?
I have. Yes, we're here 2 years ago, but the 5 that I have today, nobody has played here before.
Really? It'll be interesting to hear their thoughts and what they responded.
Yeah.
Hopefully they have good feelings when they finish and they're not mad at me.
No, they like the course, but lots of comments on the pin placements, I will say.
Where? Which one?
Let's see. 17 got some.
Okay, but I could put it, and this is the way I thought today. We could put it in the middle, left, wherever, and move them back and have a 155-yard shot to a dead-end spot. Or we can play it at about 115, 120 and have you at an angle that you have to see a different thing, play a different shot, and really think about what that does. Same way, is anybody where else?
In 16 before that, just that back.
16 on the back?
Yep, that back
Again,
tier.
I moved the tee box up to let them drive it across. It's a 485-yard par 5. From there, it's playing about 440.
Yeah.
They'll drive it up there, and then they have to make a choice.
Yep, because I had some guys where they were on the right side, and they're like, I could go low under the tree, or I could hit a shot to the left and then have an open shot in, and it's that same thing you were talking about.
The challenge is trying to figure out, okay, it's not going to fit everybody, and not everybody's going to be. So at that point, I wanted to let people drive it across. Otherwise, most of them, from the back side of it, it's 260 to carry that hazard. They're all laying up. It's the same shot. This gives a variety of players an opportunity to play and then have maybe one of the most difficult iron shots that you're going to have to play with. It could be a 5-iron, it could be a 6, it could be 7, who knows. But you got to hit a quality shot, but you can make 3 or you can make 5 or 6 or whatever. That to me is what I was trying to get through today. 9, 13 are playing their normal par 5 levels. The pin over here on 3, I moved over to the left and used the right tee box to give them a little bit different angle there. 10, they probably are questioning a little bit.
10, you're bringing in that back bunker
Exactly.
if you go, because you have no room to miss long.
But I could put them back at 225 and put it in the middle, and all of them would leave it short, and the bunkers are completely out of play. So today was a mentality of, in Wednesday we had an event here, and I played it a little bit different. Today it was the thought process. Get them through, make them shorter on the par 3s, but make them think about the shots that they had to hit with shorter irons, but quality shots. And if you pulled them off, as we saw one kid hit it on 17 like this, pitching wedge. I'm guessing most of them are hitting sand wedges or pitching wedges. But I knew that there was going to be a little guessing on those, but I also know, having played all around, and I want to see something a little bit different. If that makes sense.
And you love that feedback, don't you, Dan?
I do. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yep.
Yeah. So I got a question for you, Maggie. So, I coached women's golf. I coached college women's golf for 8 years, and I coached high school boys golf for 10 years. But you're coming to an event, 36 holes, and we would always kind of, how are you approaching that from a coach standpoint? We would do a couple things. I wanted my kids, when they would play in an event like this, to do 2 things. And I would tell them at the end of the round, I wanted to make sure that they committed to their shot, whatever that shot was going to be, whether they were like Dan was saying, like on 17. Like, what are you going to do? If you're going to go at the flag, are you going to commit to it? Or if you're going to play a little bit left and play to the middle of the green, you're going to commit to it? And I wanted them to have fun. So when we went into an event like this, I didn't want to see the kid coming off and frustrated and mad because he made a 5 or a 6 on a hole, as long as he committed and he had fun. And then we did something different, with some of the other teams. Like even with some of the girls' teams, one of our goals was never to cry. believe it or not, because I felt like if they were crying, they were focused on something that happened in the past instead of focusing on the task at hand at the moment. So as you approach your team into a 2-day tournament, like what's the message that you're giving them?
Yeah, I think it's very much what you were saying, but it's going in and using it as a learning opportunity and saying, hey, we want to do well. Placing is something that is an expectation these guys bring into the tournaments. But at the end of the day, our season today isn't made or broken by today and tomorrow. But this can help us learn and have those opportunities so that when it is all on the line in regionals, you can think back and be like, ooh, I committed to that shot, but it was a totally wrong shot that I committed to. What did I learn from that? And so when I drive up to the guys, it's always like, hey, how's it going? I don't bring score into it. And then it always is circling it back to, okay, but what's going well? And let's think about the good things and that goldfish mentality like Ted Lasso has. I've said that a lot this season. Just be a goldfish. Forget about, don't hang on to it because it carries
10 seconds.
Yeah. I was like.
And then we let Bubba do the crying.
Yeah.
He's over there crying right now.
Yeah.
Well, one question I got to ask you, Maggie,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry to do this, but as a Mount Pleasant homer, are you guys over football season yet? I'm sorry. I had to do that as Mount Pleasant beat East Grand Rapids in football this past season. A great playoff rivalry there. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I've asked all the guys, your favorite course you've ever played at anywhere?
Ooh, that's a tough one, but I think it would be down in Florida, Old Marsh.
Old Marsh. Does Dan know it?
I know of it.
All right. Does Mike
I've never
know
played it, but I know of it.
No. All right.
Maybe.
Yep. All right.
Florida courses are interesting because they're usually like most of the tour courses that they'd play, whether it was Doral or Inverary, any of them. They dredge out areas and build fairways, and then there's homes on the other side, and it's just kind of I don't know that much about Old Marsh, whether it is detailed that way or whether it's more of that Florida mentality of there's so many of them down there that you don't get to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is it, Calusa Pines that's down there, and some of these older ones that
Sure.
you don't get to see. But tell me why that sticks out to you being a Michigan person now.
Yeah, I think it's that blend of the way they used the marsh and the wetlands to have to play around on some of the holes. Mm-hmm. And there's some just memorable moments. There's one where it's a blind tee shot over a mound that you can't see the green.
Where's Old Marsh at?
It's just outside of West Palm Beach or in the West Palm Beach area. So when you talk about committing to a shot, you kind of have an idea of where you're going, and then you hit it. And it's fun, too. At the end, you get to ring the bell and let the group know that you're off the green.
So she likes blind shots. That's well, hell, we can get you a few out here.
I like a good challenge.
But I think I actually think it's cool that you brought up a course that neither of these guys know with how much you guys have been around. But, again, how many golf courses are in the United States of America? If you guys
About 15,000.
About 15,000, yeah. So, obviously, you're not going to know all of them. But I feel like anytime anybody's ever brought up a course, Dan's known.
Well, no, if I'm going down to West Palm Beach, I'm probably playing at Seminole or somewhere, and there's some other great ones down there too,
yeah.
But it's kind of like, okay,
now you got another one to add to the list.
I was going to say it, but I'll probably go in and I'll hate it, and then I'll have to come over and say, Maggie, what the how can you like this?
What's going on?
I couldn't even see one of the holes.
I'd ring the bell. What's going on?
We'll take another break here on Mid-Michigan Sports Network. We're just shooting a breeze out the Polecat. Thanks, Maggie, so much for joining us here for a few more minutes. We'll get Bubba back on with me. Check out that leaderboard when we come back. It's Mid-Michigan Sports Network broadcast live at the Polecat.
Hi, I'm attorney Joe Barbary. Just like doctors specialize in areas of medicine, at Barbary Law, we specialize in getting you the best possible results. If you've been injured by someone else's negligence, you owe it to yourself and your family to call our legal team. At Barbary Law, we focus on one thing, and that's getting you the compensation you deserve. Every case we take personally.
My attorney is Joe Barbary. He can be yours too.
Konwinski Construction offers a full range of construction services on small and large projects. Konwinski Construction is a leader in the community and are proud to support those student athletes who will be leading our community tomorrow. Konwinski Construction on Gover Parkway, Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant Automotive on Mission has been serving local auto shops and do-it-yourselfers since 1988. Mount Pleasant Automotive is locally owned and carries all the auto part, car care products, and auto maintenance supplies you will need. Visit them online at mtpleasantautomotive.com. Mount Pleasant Automotive, caring for our cars and our local student athletes. Bogwai Banga and Bradley on Main Street in Mount Pleasant provides uncompromising integrity when providing tax and accounting services to individuals and small businesses in the Mid-Michigan area. Bogwai Banga and Bradley has an expert CPA ready to help you, whether you're an individual that needs help with taxes or a business that needs help with, well, just about everything. Bogwai Banga and Bradley is a leader in the community and a proud supporter of local high school sports. Visit them online at bwbpc.com or stop into their office on Main Street in downtown Mount Pleasant. Joe Wentworth with Pradium Realty, Robin Stressman and Associates is a proud supporter of our local high school student athletes, working hard and showing pride for our community. For all of your real estate needs, go with Joe. Joe Wentworth with Pradium Realty, Robin Stressman and Associates, 989-817-1291. Brickner and Bunker Farm Bureau Insurance Group is Mid-Michigan's #1 team for protecting what matters most to you. Home, auto, life, farm, business, they offer a wide variety of coverage at affordable rates with the customer service of a best friend. Visit Brickner and Buckner Farm Bureau Insurance Group on Pickard Road or visit them online at bricknerbunkerinsurance.com. Welcome back to the Polecat. Chris Bachman here with you live on the Mid-Michigan Sports Network. You can see out the 18th green right now. We got 4 guys looking to put in their putts. And right now, another big thank you to Maggie for joining us, coach of the East Grand Rapids boys golf ball team. We've got Dan and Mike from the Polecat Bubble be joining us back here again in a moment. But right now, your boys solo for a minute here, just checking out that 18th green. You know, one of the things I was talking about is the unbelievable baseball and softball we have in the Mid-Michigan area. There's technically 12 ultra-local teams that I cover. Not a one has a losing record. Clare baseball, with a bear of a schedule, is at 9-9, 500 on the season. But everybody else, boy, it is unbelievable. Ithaca baseball 11-4, softball 15-5. The aforementioned Clare baseball 9-9, Clare softball 15-7, Mount Pleasant baseball 11-8, Mount Pleasant softball 15-11, Beal City baseball 16-7. They're in action tomorrow, hosting a tournament out in Beal City. Softball is 16-5. They just split with Division I Midland Dow. Think about that for a second. For Midland Dow to even put Division IV Beal City on the schedule just tells you how strong they know that program is. And then they split with them yesterday. That is just big time for the Beal City girls, who are now 16-5 on the season. Shepherd baseball and softball. Baseball squad is 17-5 on the year. They just dropped 2 to Standish Sterling Central earlier this week. It was a great game that I was able to be at. Preston Kahn striking out 16 for Standish Sterling on the bump. He was unbelievable. Shepherd softball 13-7-1. They also fell to Standish twice earlier this week. And Sacred Heart Academy, combined records of 41-3. The baseball team is 23-1. They just swept a ranked Division II Freeland team yesterday. I was able to call that first game. Nate Gator, Seiler, and Noah Zion combining for just a 1-run, 7-inning performance. They were great. Brady Davis was great at the plate, going 2 for 3, scoring one of those 2 runs for the Irish as they beat Freeland 2-1 yesterday. Brady Davis pitched phenomenal in game number 2 as the Irish were able to win that one as well. Again, Sacred Heart Academy, 23-1 baseball, ranked number 1 in Division IV. Softball, 18-2. I think softball's ranked 6 or 7. Beal City softball ranked right there with them. And that's going to be the crazy thing. Those 2 teams are going to match up again in districts for baseball and softball action. We will be able to have both of them for you. So excited about that. The softball will be on Friday. Baseball will be on Saturday, and so that is going to be the plan, to be in Beal City for baseball on Friday, and then can't exactly remember where, or softball Friday, I can't exactly remember where baseball is at, but we'll have all that action for you here on the Mid-Michigan Sports Network, because there's only a couple weeks left of the high school baseball and softball season. And take a look at that upcoming schedule for the Mid-Michigan Sports Network. You still need some athletic director approval on these. I'll be shooting some text messages out later to the guys and gals after I am done here. But Monday, planning on being in Clare for Shepherd Clare baseball. That should be a fantastic matchup. I was really happy things kind of got, selfishly happy that things got split up between softball and baseball, because softball was able to play earlier, but the field conditions weren't good enough for baseball. And so Monday Shepherd Clare baseball action. Tuesday should be softball action. Beal City girls hosting Manton. Still looking at some things for Wednesday and Thursday. Then obviously need to get approval to be in McBain next Friday. But that is the plan, to be in McBain next Friday for Beal City McBain baseball. The winner of that game, or that contest, that series, will be in the front seat to win that Highland Conference Baseball Championship. Beal City has won the Highland Conference Baseball Championship for over 20 consecutive years. Just absolutely crazy. Another big thing happening in the mid-Michigan area, well, in the Michigan area, I should say, with the MHSAA, is seeding for the football playoffs. Yes, you heard me right. The regionals will now be seeded. So go back to last year. You got 4 teams in a district. You're now going to take 8 teams in a regional, and you're going to seed them 1 through 8. This is something that's been talked about for quite some time, and a perfect example is going back 2 years ago. You had 8-1 Clare at 9-0 Ogama Heights in the first round of the football playoffs. Bubba, that's a game that should be saved for a regional final, and it will be that way from now on.
Yeah, 100%. I think it comes down to the Coaches Association decide that, you know what, this is what we're going to continue to take to the committee that be within the MHSAA, and we've taken it to them, and then Jason will be able to talk more to this if he comes out later, but they took it to him. It was voted down, but they finally got people involved that said that makes the most sense. I mean, that's a great example, Clare and Ogama Heights, but then you also have every year it seems to be Grand Rapids Catholic Central and West Catholic in a district final, and that's more like a state final, state semifinal type game. So I think there's a lot of that dynamic that's involved to it. It just makes more sense. I mean, we played DeWitt one year in the district final. We were number
Triple
2,
overtime.
number 3, and yeah, we were number 2, number 3 in the state of Michigan. So I like that better. I think 1-8, 2-7, 3-6, 4-5. I think you're able to maybe get better matchups, if you will, in the regional final, so on and so forth. So yeah, that will eliminate a lot of those first round and those district final higher ranked teams. And again, rankings don't really matter until the end of the last weekend of the season anyway. But had things kind of changed a little bit differently for us last year, there was a chance we would have played Lowell in the first round instead of playing them in the semifinals. So it really, this will go a long way, I think, in terms of having better matchups as you advance throughout the state playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a fantastic opportunity. And again, the Clare Ogama is that one example that I'll continue to go with. But, you know, and again, maybe here in baseball and softball at some point as well. You had Beal City, Sacred Heart, number 1, number 2 in the state when it came to high school baseball and softball, time being. And so just hopefully it happens with all of them, but football seeding now for the regionals, it's gonna be a really cool thing. I don't know if you saw that headline, Dan, for the MHSAA. It's no longer going to be just 4 teams in the district for football, who's ever closest around you. They're now going to seed 1 through 8 for the regions in football. So you have 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, like you have in a traditional playoff bracket. Pretty darn excited about that. And it could make for, maybe another long trip or two for, Beal City, Iron Mountain have met in the opening round of the playoffs. Actually, no, it would push that back a couple rounds. What am I talking? Because you had Bark River Harris having to come down to play somebody. You'd probably have Bark River and them playing in the UP. And so cool stuff happening there. Another big thing happening, if people have been living underneath the rock, Mount Pleasant Orr's last football game was at Ford Field. Their next one is going to be at the Big House on the campus of the University of Michigan, taking on Saginaw Heritage. Again, if we get McIntyre out here, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But, Bubba, what do you know about all that?
I just know from a standpoint it was supposed to be a Thursday night game at home at 7 p.m. Now it's a Saturday afternoon, 3:30 kickoff at the Big House against Heritage. So we'll have a couple extra days to prepare for that. But I think logistically it'll be very similar to a state final. I can't really talk too much about it because I just know what I know. That's something more for the big shooters like Coach Mack to come out here and discuss. But it's exciting. I mean, how many high school kids can say their last game was at Ford Field, which you earn the right to be there, obviously. But then because of the success of your previous year and some of the other kids who came before you, you get an opportunity to play at the University of Michigan Stadium, the Big House. And to me, there's nothing better than that, being a huge Michigan fan and being a huge college football fan. I mean, it's great playing at Ford Field, home of the Lions, but this is the pageantry that is college football. But it's a high school game, and although we won't have 110,000 there, I'm sure screaming. It'd be nice to have a good crowd there, and just to have the opportunity to run through that tunnel to see that the team as you run out Michigan Stadium, and maybe we'll have our flag. We'll be able to jump up like Michigan does before every game. But just what a great environment it'll be between two great programs who have a lot of respect for each other. We've had some great battles with Heritage over the last few years. So, yeah, I think it's just going to be a great opportunity for these young men to go out there and just prove themselves again, kind of how far Coach Mack has brought the program in 20 years. It's going to be a really special day for the young men involved and all of us coaches as well, and the community for that matter.
Yeah, Dan, is that something you had heard about yet, the Oiler boys being able to go play at the Big House for Saginaw Heritage week 1?
Yeah, I heard about it. I mean, until it actually comes to fruition, and you hear like just hearing it for sure, you're always questionable if it is just hearsay. I mean, what I always look at is, this Mount Pleasant is steeped in tradition in all sports. It's just amazing that it hasn't happened before now. And then you were talking a little bit about, the seedings and all that stuff. Why did it take so long to figure some of this stuff out when they've certainly had enough time to try to figure it? I know that they're trying to make everything better and more efficient and all that stuff, but has it taken different minds and different? That's what you always wonder why it's.
Yeah, like I said, baseball and softball. Why didn't they do that right now too? Kind of a thing. But again, I'll make the joke. People much smarter than I am making those decisions. But again, it's all about giving those kids the best opportunity. And the thing that and again, the MHSA does a fantastic job. They're the ones that give me the rights to do this stuff, so I'm not knocking them at all. But we've got 10 high school football state champions. I'd like to see there be, another state champion or two beyond 4 in some of the other sports. In particular, when it comes to the baseball playoffs, softball playoffs, you're going to have Shepherd and Clare going up to play Petoskey, Escanaba. They've got 300-400 more kids. So if you could divide that up a little bit more, I think it'd be great to, maybe have 6 state champions for some of the other sports now.
And some of it's a venue availability too.
They
do
the best job they can.
Yeah, and the same thing with golf. I mean, we try to rotate the state championships around about 7 or 8 different courses, and so we'd like to. That's my plug-in to add, Central Michigan to that at some point, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, it's just it could be a venue availability. It's just there's a turnover sometime in some of the committees within the MHSAA, so they do the best with what they've got, and I appreciate that. They work extremely hard. I think Mark Ewell does a wonderful job as being the director of the MHSAA, and he gets like-minded people, but sometimes you need people who think outside the box against the grain as well. So I think it's good, healthy communication to have in order to explore these things. Like, football, we went all those years ago, we went to 8 divisions, and they finally went to 8-man. And then with basketball, now we go to the MPR, so you don't have teams playing each other off a draw. The 1 and 2 seed could be playing each other in the first round. Now you base off MPR, and you go from there. So I think there's a lot of advantages. There's a lot of positives moving forward with the MHSAA and all the different committees that they have. And each coaches association, they get together and they present their findings and some of the facts to the MHSA, and then those committees from there take it and they run with it and make the decisions based upon all the information that they have.
Yep. And now the golf playoffs. Talk about how the golf playoff format works, team and individual, if you can bust that down a little bit for us.
So again, it's based on enrollment. So really, with us being in the middle of the state, we could go north, south, east, or west, and we have since I've been the coach. We've gone up to West Branch, we've gone over to Ludington, we've gone down to DeWitt, we've gone down by the Flint area. We've hosted it here, obviously. This year we go to St. John. So really it's based on the number of teams that sponsor that specific sport, because there's some teams or some schools that don't sponsor golf in the state of Michigan. So you take however many teams there are, and you divide that by 4, and then from there you take the top 4 of Division I, the next 2 are Division II, so on and so forth. And then from there, you geographically, you try to match teams up based on where they are in the state of Michigan, and usually there's anywhere from 15 to 18 teams in each region. We used to have districts. We got rid of that. We went strictly to a regional format. So now with 5 regions per division, you take the top 3 teams from there and then the top 3 individuals, and then you go to a state championship.
All right. And so is the state and individual championship technically being played at the same time? Like I said, which is different than a wrestling or something like that type of thing I wanted to point out. And do you like that? Do you wish it would be different for the individual kind of a thing?
No, I think it's good. I mean, because, again, the thing with golf is that it's an individual sport no matter what. Obviously, you're going to have a team component when you qualify as a team, so your top 3 teams are going to advance, and you could have the individual champion from one of those teams. So, or you could have an individual who qualified on their own win a state championship. So I think that's a unique format to it. Obviously, Ryan Bren, when he played at Mount Pleasant, he won 5 state championships. Okay, well, there's only 4 years. Well, he won 2 team and 3 individuals. So you have an opportunity to kind of put more trophies in the case, if you will. So that's the unique thing about our sport as well. You can win multiple state championships. Like in wrestling, you can win an individual and a team. You could win 8 state championships. So that's kind of a neat dynamic.
I think that's really kind of the only sport to compare it to, because in golf and in wrestling, you're not instructing them to do anything different than they normally. Like, you're not telling a kid, hey, we need you to shoot an 82 instead of an 81 today. You know, like, that's never happening. They're all going out and doing the absolute best that they can. When it's wrestling or golf, it doesn't change.
Correct, but then it's a play 5 score format in golf. There's some tournaments that are play 6, like we do the Saginaw Valley. It's play 6, score 4. Throw out your worst 2 scores. In regionals, you have that 1 score to play with, I guess, if you will. But to Mike's point earlier about the can of corn thing, you want to beat your teammate. You don't want to be that guy, that score that you're not throwing out. So you want to be the teammate or the team that has 5 good scores, and say you all shoot 75, 76, 77, and you have to throw out one of the 77s. I mean, and then if there's a tie between, you go to the 5th. That's when you have to play your best. Even though you're not going to count your score individually towards a team score, if those top 4 tie, then you go to the 5th scorecard. So if you shoot a 78 and the other team shoots an 80, well, your team advances. So your score does matter. It may not matter in the team part of it, the top 4, but it does matter in the team part. So it's a catch-22, if you will, on that. So that's why I like that unique component that golf, the scoring mechanism that we use. I think all 5 scores have to matter. I mean, you have to go out there and play your best. And, again, you're not playing your teammate. You're not playing the guy against you. You're playing the course. But at the end of the day, you're also your score could be very
make you really encourage your teammate out there that might be struggling a little bit, kind of a thing. So, you know, they're not just going to be able to toss that score away in some of those formats. You want to pull that leaderboard back up here for us, see what we got going on. And
we lost the state championship in '73 to our 5 score.
Did you? All right.
You counted 4, and then we tied playoff down at Royal Scott and Lansing. And then in the playoff, they counted all 5, and our 5th player didn't do so well, and we ended up losing the state championship to that. So I mean, it is important for sure, but you know,
that's something I didn't think about though. That 5th score could come down as a tiebreaker too.
In anything. And now this is a little bit different, I think, because you in a 2-day you might have one guy score once. You know, I mean, that's what in college. You know, I watch it and guys shoot 87 one day, and then the next day he's a counter. You know, so they're counting the 4 best. It's not the combined ones. I think it'd be more interesting if they combined the 2-day total, and that was you counted your low 4 there rather than the 4 per 18. But they give a little bit of a break when it comes to that. But I still, you know, I got fortunate when we played. The first 2 years in high school was spring golf like it is now, and then they moved the golf to the fall in '72. And I was able to play 2 years in the fall. So I was able to, you know, that's when I was playing basketball or golf, basketball, and baseball. I still wonder, and I don't know, maybe Jason's got a little bit different feel on it. Coming off a strong summer of play, the fall was great because you came into the year strong.
So everybody's Andrew Silverthorne, Eric Jones that golfed in high school. I think they dealt with the switch back when it happened.
Everything was good, but then you got pretty foul weather come your state finals in sometimes October and November. Here you deal with that in the April and May, the bad weather, and then you're hoping to get decent weather for when the finals come around. So, you know, this is interesting dynamic as far as a lot of these kids I think would have been stronger years if they had the summer play and they're practicing and then they worked into the fall golf. I think that would give, you know, more of a and plus it would bring in a lot of baseball players who could play golf. But, you know, it's a tough one to call which one's better for the golf season as whether it's the spring season or having it in the fall.
I think it was Owen McKenney and Caden Smith at Beale City I was talking to a couple years ago and said, if there was another sport you could play, what would it be? And they said golf. And I remember thinking, Brad Antcliffe wouldn't want there to be golf out here. He'd be losing a baseball player or two every single year. But those baseball players do tell me, they got to work on that golf swing a lot after baseball season.
They shouldn't have to. That's a mental thing for most people. The shoulders turn so far, and they're used to having a little bit higher. All you got to do is drop it. And I was always able to. Heck, in our day, we might play 36 holes on one day and play a baseball game in the afternoon. You made that adjustment. It's just a series of adjustments. You have to know that. I think there's an overload of because I played baseball, I swing underneath it, or I swing, or over top of it, whatever. It's such a minimal adjustment. The body still turns and it still goes through. As we were looking at your setup and the way you would envision it, this is a reactive sport, even though it doesn't appear you're standing there and the ball's not moving, but you have to create motion in it. And however you can get that body to flow back, balance of the ball, move through. I watch a lot of these kids and there's a disconnect between the lower and the upper part of the body, which baseball players don't have that, because the lower part of the body, tennis players, they're driving their lower body forward and the upper part of the body is doing what? Staying behind, and then it's reacting at impact. And so it's a very easy, a simulation to go into, where basketball players are all going this way. Hockey, tennis players, baseball players are all lateral motion and all laterally this way, and their eyesight's different. You can tie it in. Once you hear somebody talk about it, they adapt.
You turn in the hips in both of those, whereas basketball, you're stand straight forward.
Tennis is the easiest one because they're looking at it. They're clearing.
If people could see me swinging my hips, right?
Well, yeah, I guess they're moving.
Yeah.
I guess they're moving. The hockey players are very good at it. I've had an opportunity to play with a lot of really good hockey players. Then take on golf, and they're very successful. I'm watching these putts on 18, and I haven't seen one guy make it yet. So I'll be interested in going over there and seeing if it's just enough where they're misreading that. They're coming off of that back corner there, and the ball's breaking down to the right with speed, and every one of them is knocking it past the hole from the left. So I'm always interested on, when you set up a golf course, I haven't seen one individual hit it long right and have the up, if I'm playing that, and I know, in fact, if guys were smart, which, the high school kids are ready to go, my first vision would have been, where's the 18th hole? Where's the pin on 18? Where's my best putt coming from? And if I've got a, in between back there, you should be hitting it back behind where that guy on the right is with the white shirt on. That's where you have to putt from. That's pretty much straight up the hill. And most of these guys are leaving it short left and in the center, and there's a lot of movement off of those, back there it appears to be a fairly benign pin placement, kind of little back of center, but right in the middle of the green. But sometimes those are the hardest, Bubba, and because you can have so many variety of putts from there going, left to right and right to left. And so I haven't seen one kid, I don't know.
They just left that one just short there, too. Yeah.
So it's got to be, I'm not trying not to pay, I'm paying attention to everything they say, but I'm looking over there going, okay, let's see somebody make a putt from 10 feet or so.
Updated leaderboard right now. We've got Saginaw Heritage in the lead. They're at plus 22 overall, and then followed by Essexville Garber at plus 31, and then Bay City Western Flushing, both plus 32. So really, at this point in the game, we've got about 4 or 5 holes left. Saginaw Heritage has a comfortable lead, but as you know, in golf, that can change very, very quickly. And then individually, let's go back to that real quick while I bring up the app.
Bubba can tell you about this. There's teams that have 1 or 2 really strong players that can hold something up. But when it comes down to these, having 4 or 5 really good players that are all shooting from 75 to 82 or something like that, you're never going to be out of it. You want that I mean, we were fortunate when I was there. I had, Kim Tillotson, Greg Wagner, Mike Ball, Dan Wardrop, all really good players in behind me. In fact, they won the state championship after I left. So, they went to B, Class B, so it was a little different, for them, and I'm going to make sure that they know that whenever they stay. They're, oh, yeah, we were better after Pole left. I said, well, that's
you went down a notch, right?
Yeah, I just went out to Arizona to play, and you guys went ahead and played Class B. But that we had you need on tough courses that grouping. You could have 3 guys play here and play decent and average 78, 80, but then that fourth guy, if he shoots 90, you get a 90 and a 92, you lose.
It's tough.
So it is a difficult.
Yeah, about that individual leaderboard, Bubba.
Individually, we finally have someone in red figures. Harry Seifert, who's a junior from East Grand Rapids, just birdied number 5 or 6. Then let me go back here. He just birdied number 4, actually. So he's 1 under through 14. And then we have A.J. Gasper, 1 shot back at even par. Landon Bartlett from Midland is 2 over. Brendan Dene from Saginaw Heritage is 2 over. And then there's a couple gentlemen 3 over, followed by 4 over, 5 over, 6 over. So, yeah, it's going to come down to it. I mean, you're never out of it, especially here. There's a couple hole stretch, depending on where you started. If you're feeling pretty comfortable and you get to that 5, 6, 7, 8,
and we
9.
We talked about 1 under. I thought the way the course was
71.
playing, especially because of the par 3s being a little shorter. If you're a good iron player, you're not going to struggle with any of the par 3s today. If I put number 10 back at 235 or something, you're going to be a little different. But it sounds like the East Grand Rapids kid still has 7, 8, and 9 to play.
It's 5 through 9.
So
it's going to get tough for him.
Yeah, he's going to have to decide: am I going to hit 3 wood or iron off of 7 and 8 and go with a little bit of a different? I do know that 8 green, or the pin on 8 is in the front tongue, so it's not deep, so he can hit an iron and get away with a little shorter club, almost 2 club difference from front to back there. So you can play, if he decides to, play with a little bit longer club in his hand, but takes the bigger number out of the play. But most of these guys are, they're here to shoot a low score, and so if you can be aggressive with your driver and put it up there, and have a wedge, that gives you an opportunity, but it also brings 5 and 6 into the equation. But I would. I looked at the pins. I sat with our cutter this morning, Jimmy Lyons, and said, okay, pick a couple of them. I want you to not be crazy, but I want to make sure that we do have a couple of tough ones. So we'll see. 6 should be gettable. That's center of the green and a little bit left, but again, that's one where you got to play smart. You can hit a pretty good tee shot and be behind that big oak and not be able to get at that pin. So, and then like I said, 7, 8. 7, 8, 9 will be a good stretch to. If he wins, he's going to prove that he could finish, and that's what you want to be able to do.
All right, we'll take a break here. Mid-Michigan Sports Network. It's Spock. It's Bubba. It is Dan Pohl broadcasting live at the Polecat for the Oiler 36. Back with more right after this.
Hi, I'm attorney Joe Barbary. Just like doctors specialize in areas of medicine, at Barbary Law, we specialize in getting you the best possible results. If you've been injured by someone else's negligence, you owe it to yourself and your family to call our legal team. At Barbary Law, we focus on one thing, and that's getting you the compensation you deserve. Every case we take personally.
My attorney is Joe Barbary. He can be yours too.
Konwinski Construction offers a full range of construction services on small and large projects. Konwinski Construction is a leader in the community and are proud to support those student athletes who will be leading our community tomorrow. Konwinski Construction on Gover Parkway, Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant Automotive on Mission has been serving local auto shops and do-it-yourselfers since 1988. Mount Pleasant Automotive is locally owned and carries all the auto part, car care products, and auto maintenance supplies you will need. Visit them online at mtpleasantautomotive.com. Mount Pleasant Automotive, caring for our cars and our local student athletes. Bogwai Banga and Bradley on Main Street in Mount Pleasant provides uncompromising integrity when providing tax and accounting services to individuals and small businesses in the Mid-Michigan area. Bogwai Banga and Bradley has an expert CPA ready to help you, whether you're an individual that needs help with taxes or a business that needs help with, well, just about everything. Bogwai Banga and Bradley is a leader in the community and a proud supporter of local high school sports. Visit them online at bwbpc.com or stop into their office on Main Street in downtown Mount Pleasant. Joe Wentworth with Pradium Realty, Robin Stressman and Associates is a proud supporter of our local high school student athletes working hard and showing pride for our community. For all of your real estate needs, go with Joe. Joe Wentworth with Pradium Realty, Robin Stressman and Associates, 989-817-1291. Brickner and Bunker Farm Bureau Insurance Group is Mid-Michigan's #1 team for protecting what matters most to you. Home, auto, life, farm, business. They offer a wide variety of coverage at affordable rates with the customer service of a best friend. Visit Brickner and Buckner Farm Bureau Insurance Group on Pickard Road or visit them online at bricknerbunkerinsurance.com. Welcome back to it here on the Mid-Michigan Sports Network. We got Chris Spotman and Dan Pohl and Bubba McLean hanging out, shooting the breeze here at the OR 36. We'll come back on here for a couple more minutes and kind of close things down for our Shoot the Breeze podcast, I will joke. But maybe myself and Dan Pohl will be out on hole 18 like we were last year if we've got another playoff. Hopefully that is able to happen. Talk about what would be your approach on 18 here today, Dan?
First thing's put it in the fairway. I mean, again, 18th, I put the pin or the tee box over to the right, so it does open up the fairway a little bit more. You can miss it left from there. From the left tee box, the whole right side comes into play. The wind will be coming out of there right too, and so it kind of everything is kind of helping that dog leg left. But you stand up there and there's still a lot on the line. If it's the kid from East Grand Rapids or whoever's up against him, if it does do that, you probably want to hit first and put a good swing on it. And you just got to play it the way there's a course management mentality that you don't change because of a situational until you have to. And so all of a sudden, if you do hit a bad tee shot, then you have to make the change there. But if these guys are somewhere around par, this particular 18th hole today, because of all the conditions, shouldn't it'll take a birdie to win it. I don't think it is playing as difficult as it certainly could. Again, tee box makes a lot of the difficulty of this hole because you have to, from the left tee box, you have to turn it a little bit more to get around a corner. The right tee box opens it up a little bit. So, it'll be interesting. Hopefully, you don't want that. I mean, if you hope that people made pars and birdies coming in and not somebody faltered to get in. It's kind of, you look at it that way and say, yes, it's fun to have a playoff, but it's with the right circumstances. You don't want somebody to make a double bogey, to get into it and be forced to play from there. You don't want any negativity coming in.
And overall, with this high school golf outing, are you trying to make it more difficult, less difficult, the same as general public? What's the mindset when it's these are high schoolers, but they're also golfers too. They're not just casual.
Yeah, when you've got as many players as we do, you got to kind of look at pace of play. But really, pace of play is all going to be limited because of the number. You're doubled up on every hole but one, so it's going to be slow no matter what. You're looking at a 5-hour plus round. But I really tried to challenge the players. I mean, and challenge them in different ways. And like I said, it's not just length that challenges most of the kids. It's a difficulty in pin placement. It's a visual thing over a bunker versus wide open along the edge of the water. Even Bubba and I talked about number 2, from the white tee boxes, which is to the right, the water is you're not looking at it on the pond between 1 and 2. Now we move the tee box back to the back left corner where the championship tee or the black tee is, and we give them a totally different angle with the having to hit over the edge of the water. So you're going to see people bailing because of that. And really, it wasn't a situation where you're looking at a score. All you're looking at saying, how can we make this course fair but challenging? And I do that with two different ways. You do it with your tee placements on distance-wise and your hole location. So if you're playing a hole like number 6, which is only 305 yards from the back, you can be a little bit more aggressive with your hole location thought process. But I always looked at it like, okay, there's going to be sections of these things where they're going to struggle. You might a 6-hole stretch that could grab them. And I even talked to on number 7, the hole location for the normal day was supposed to be in the back left. No, that's the toughest one on the course.
Oh, that's a good. That shot out of the rough right there, Dan. Yeah. That's a really good looking shot there.
So we put them again into a place more in the center right, and it was just. And I think Bubba would agree. The kids just all you got to do is make it fair. A challenge is one thing. I don't want them to go out and feel like they can just hit it all over the place and hit it on greens. The whole idea, and a lot of people are now so wanting to, it's all about score and making it easy as you can and all this. Whatever happened to the idea of being challenged, and going out there and really having
video games nowadays? You can just respawn all the time. Back in my day, you died in Mario.
Exactly.
You spent a long time trying to get back in Mario.
So to get to the heart of your question of how you set it up, I think it's just you look at each hole individually and say, okay, what's fair? What's the challenge here? Where do we want to put it? I mean, we could have moved the tee box up on 1 and tried to let them go out and hit it at the green, but you don't want that when you're maxed out or with players. You're got people waiting in the fairway to hit to the green. So you say, okay, I want the par 5s, at least 3 of them, probably not be able to get anybody to get there. So all of a sudden they're laying up and they're continuing on, so there's not any delays in the play. And so I look at it in a lot of different ways, but I think today's setup was very unique in that there was some not only some hole locations that I probably wouldn't have used, but some tee boxes positioned to make them not only see something different, but play a shot that they had to commit to.
Gotcha. All right, Bubba, leaderboard one more time here. We're gonna sign off here in a couple minutes, but like I said, if we've got a playoff or something cool happening, I'm gonna come back live on the phone here on Facebook. But again, Dan Pohl, Chris Bobbin, and Bub McLean hanging out here at the Polecat, having a great time for the Oiler 36.
Yeah, still Saginaw Heritage is at plus 22, 10 strokes ahead of Essexville Garber, and then Bay City Western's one behind them. So plus 22 for Heritage, Garber's plus 32, and Western's plus 33. That's the team component. And then if we go to the individual, let me make sure there's loads, because this is the great thing about our MHSA iWannamaker app is everything is real time and up to date.
Yeah, but and what is the app that you're on?
So it's iWannamaker. We partnered with iWannamaker, and then we actually have a separate MHSAA app through the iWannamaker. They have pretty much every state associated with high school golf goes through iWannamaker, and then from there you build your individual state website based upon that information.
It's very interesting from going back to when we actually had to keep score on a scorecard. As you see these guys walking down the fairway with their phones and looking at them like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? This is are you thinking more about what's going on the phone than you are just you get done, you write down your score and you write down your player. And
I miss scorecards. I really do. Yeah. I think it just takes, and I love the app. I think it's great. It's up to date scoring. There's not a lot of wait time afterwards. But again, kids can also still access their social media accounts. I mean, they're told not to, but
what are you going to do?
Just a quick question then, if we got enough time, Chris. Yep. If you were out there and you were the kid that's leading, would you rather not know that you had 2 holes left and you go, because you don't have to look at it?
I don't want to know.
I wouldn't want to know. I want to play it the way I want to play. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. If you're,
because you can go check now, right? If you want
right
to.
Now, now he knows that if he goes par, now that could put more pressure on him, or I don't know, if it's better or not.
I think it's good to not know. I think you stay tunnel vision. You just keep playing. I mean, that's like on the Pro Tour. The leaderboards, obviously, you can see those. Some guys sometimes. Colin Morikawa is a perfect example because I never look at the leaderboard. I mean, I know who's doing well based on crowd reaction.
Yeah,
I'm focused on what I'm
doing. Until it's the time. I mean, the 18th hole at Augusta, you're going to probably look and see if you're how close you are.
Speaking from experience.
Yeah.
So yes, we still have Harry Seifert from East Grand Rapids is 1 under par through 14. AJ Gasper, a senior from Flushing, is even par. And then Danae, Bartlett are both 2 over. Danae's from Heritage and Bartlett's from Midland High. And then Gavin Lewis from Sturgis, whose family's actually from Mount Pleasant. Dave Lewis, who's the president of the Mount Pleasant Bowlers Association, that's his grandfather. Rob Lewis, who graduated in '98 from Mount Pleasant, that's his father. So there's a little Mount Pleasant connection there. Weston Brown, who's a sophomore from Midland Dow, is also 3 over. So there's a chance. I mean, it kind of depends on what happens. I think Seifert still has to play those, 5 through 9, and then I see Gasper, he still has to play. He's on the same, they're playing together, so really, I'm sorry, he's got to play 15, 16, 17, 18. So Gasper might have maybe a little bit easier stretch. Who knows? Who knows at this point? I mean, the conditions are still pretty good, so not a lot of wind out there. So we'll see what happens. It kind of really comes down to nerves at this point and who can put the ball in the right spot and who can putt better.
Yep, boy's going to grab a chicken strip basket. For people who don't know, Dan, I've told you this, Dan. You guys have got the best chicken strip basket in town, and this is a guy who loves his chicken strips at the Bird, at the Diner, and some other places. But, man, you got some good strips and fries out here, and the combo of them goes great. And so that's what I'm going to do right now is these last 4 or 5 holes get finished up, and hopefully we come back with a playoff. If not, I'll pull something about the results. But Bubba, Dan, to Mike, to Maggie, everybody that joined us here, thanks guys for hanging out. And Bubba said we have to do this every year, man, because it's not only a cool thing, give these kids a little bit of love in golf, but it's a ton of fun. And one of these days we're going to get the Ethernet fixed before here next year. We're going to get that figured out, Dan, as I creep into your guys' office to try and figure things out. We'll get squared away, maybe a little bit better video coverage for the 18th next year. But Bubba, Dan, thank you guys so much for joining us. And Chris Bachman signing off. Be back with you Monday. Baseball, softball action, Shepherd at Clare. Well, I guess it'll be baseball action. Softball already happened. But tune in here just a little bit. If there's something happening with the Aura 36 finish, we will be there.